Chapter 3581. A woman sobbing? Many people were shocked. Ah! The cultivator who spoke those words suddenly screamed and fell to the ground, dead. Before he died, his pupils suddenly burst open. His death was extremely miserable. The surrounding people were all shocked. They quickly retreated. What happened? Many people were puzzled. They didn't understand what had happened. There were many experts in the surroundings. However, no one knew how the cultivator died. It was too strange. Could it be because the heavenly secret was leaked? So he suffered this calamity? A cultivator said, "Perhaps there is such a possibility." Many people agreed with this point of view. After the unknown happened, everyone always liked to associate these unknown things with some mysterious things. More and more news began to spread. Most of it was about the Swamp of Fate. Lin Feng and Wu Liang Daoist were also paying attention to the Swamp of Fate. They hadn't gone to the Swamp of Fate yet, because the time wasn't right. Lin Feng's mysterious golden box fluctuated again. This time, the fluctuation lasted longer. Lin Feng was very surprised. Could it be that the secret of the mysterious box was about to be revealed? What kind of secret was hidden inside? Lin Feng was very much looking forward to it. It was already late at night. Lin Feng went out alone. The mysterious golden box seemed to be guiding Lin Feng to a place. Even though it was night time, Metal Stone City was still very lively. The most lively places were the brothels. Lin Feng passed through many streets. Finally, he arrived at the northeast corner. This place always emitted a gloomy and terrifying aura. It was the complete opposite of the bustle of other places. This place was like a place full of sin. In front of a street, Lin Feng saw a huge sign. The sign said, "Sin Street." What is this place? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. Surprisingly, there was such an evil street in Jinshi City. Lin Feng was astonished. Moreover, there didn't seem to be anyone walking around. Perhaps this place was a dark corner of Goldstone City. Ordinary cultivators would not dare to come here. However, the golden box guided Lin Feng into Sin Street. Lin Feng was skilled and daring. He would not be frightened by Sin Street. He walked towards Sin Street. However, Lin Feng was blocked outside. Sin Street actually had a restriction. Moreover, it was an extremely advanced restriction. This place really isn't simple. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. He tried to break the restrictions here but failed. Lin Feng might be able to break the restrictions here, but it would take a lot of time to do so. There was no way to break the formation in a short time. What a delicate little doll. This is not a place you should be. Quickly leave. Suddenly, a ghostly silhouette appeared behind Lin Feng, and a hoarse voice spread in the air. Lin Feng was horrified. How did this existence appear? He actually didn't notice at all. Lin Feng turned around and saw the terrifying existence who spoke. It was an old woman with a stooped body. The old woman was incomparably ugly. Lin Feng had never seen such an ugly person. Her face was basically ruined. What is this place? Senior, can you tell me? Lin Feng asked. Jijiji. A place that eats people without spitting out their bones. The old woman said sinisterly. He looked at Lin Feng from head to toe with a pair of cold eyes. Those eyes made Lin Feng feel very uncomfortable. Lin Feng was horrified. Why was this terrifying old woman looking at him with such eyes? Could it be that she had some ideas about him? This old woman's cultivation was too terrifying. He had used the ruler's armor. He was probably no match for her. Lin Feng said, "This junior won't enter a place that eats people without spitting out their bones. This junior will take his leave." Lin Feng cupped his fists and hurriedly ran away. As for the old woman, she took out a token and used it to pass through the restriction and enter inside. Lin Feng stood in the distance and saw this scene. He ran back. "Kid, I heard that anyone who spoke to Ghost Granny didn't have a good ending. You're finished this time." A rough man walked over from the distance. This man's eyes had been gouged out. 2 bloody holes appeared, and fresh blood flowed out from them. "Your eyeballs have been gouged out. Can you still see me?" Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. The man said sinisterly, "I can't see you, but I can smell you with my nose." After hearing this man's words, Lin Feng felt a chill. He almost sent the man flying with a kick. At this moment, an extremely thin, middle-aged cultivator walked over from the distance. His body emitted a cold and terrifying aura. He looked at Lin Feng and said with a cold smile, "This isn't a place that any Tom, Dick, or Harry can come to." Lin Feng glanced at the cultivator. "Before you humiliate others, take a piss and look at yourself. Calling you a Tom, Dick, or Harry is probably an insult to Tom, Dick, or Harry." "Ha ha ha ha. Kid, you're really good at talking." The man who had his eyes gouged out couldn't help but laugh when he heard Lin Feng's words. The thin, middle-aged cultivator's face suddenly darkened. He looked at Lin Feng with eyes full of killing intent. He said coldly, "Little thing, you dare to provoke this seat? Have you thought about how you're going to die?" As soon as he finished speaking, the middle-aged cultivator walked toward Lin Feng step by step. His body emitted an extremely sinister and terrifying aura. This person was actually an Emperor Realm expert. Moreover, he was in existence of a very high Emperor Realm expert. Experts at the Imperial Emperor Realm were extremely rare. An expert of this level was also a big shot that ordinary people didn't dare to provoke. However, Lin Feng was obviously an exception. "I'll kill you before entering Sin Street. Let's see if you have anything good on you." The thin cultivator laughed sinisterly. His face was filled with killing intent. He looked at Lin Feng as if he was looking at a dead man. He slapped out with his palm. That terrifying palm enveloped Lin Feng. The might of an Imperial Emperor Realm expert's attack was extraordinary. Even the void was shattered. "Kid, you're going to be beaten to death." The cultivator who had his eyes gouged out had a gloating expression on his face. Moreover, he was laughing out loud. Lin Feng couldn't help but be speechless. This guy seemed to be very happy to see others suffer. The skinny, middle-aged man's terrifying palm strike was about to land on Lin Feng's body. At this moment, Chapter 3582. Bang! Along with the ferocious strike, Lin Feng and the thin, middle-aged man's palm collided. The thin, middle-aged man was no match for Lin Feng and was sent flying. "How can you be so strong?" The thin, middle-aged man shouted in disbelief. Lin Feng's combat power was too terrifying. It made the thin, middle-aged man's hair stand on end. He originally thought that Lin Feng was just a small character. Wasn't it easy to deal with him? It was simply a piece of cake. Only now did he realize that he was very wrong. "You dare to show off outside with such little strength? What a joke. Stupid and ignorant." Lin Feng sneered. He walked toward the thin, middle-aged man step by step. The thin, middle-aged man's face was extremely ugly. He turned around and wanted to escape. However, Lin Feng didn't want to give the thin, middle-aged man a chance to escape. Therefore, Lin Feng quickly chased after the thin, middle-aged man. "Don't you think it's too late to leave now? Today is your life." "I'll take it," Lin Feng said indifferently. A demon ancestor's sacred fist was sent flying. The demon ancestor's shadow appeared behind Lin Feng. The demon ancestor's shadow let out a long howl. It was as if it could collapse the void. "Brat, do you really want to kill me?" The thin, middle-aged man couldn't help but shout. He didn't want to die. However, now, facing Lin Feng's attack, he couldn't resist. "If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place?" Lin Feng said indifferently. He didn't stop. The thin, middle-aged man's face was extremely gloomy. His eyes flashed with ruthlessness. He used a terrifying divine ability called 100,000 Storms. The power of this divine ability was also very tyrannical. However, facing Lin Feng's attack, it was difficult to resist. Bang! Along with the violent collision, there was another sound. The two sides clashed once again. After Lin Feng broke the thin, middle-aged cultivator's divine ability, the terrifying punch landed directly on the skinny, middle-aged cultivator's chest. Wow! The thin, middle-aged cultivator couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His face was as white as a sheet of paper. Taking on such a terrifying blow, he was severely injured, and he didn't know how many of his bones were broken. Situation. It was extremely bad. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He rushed forward and punched out again. "No!" The thin, middle-aged man screamed in horror. The next moment, Lin Feng's punch landed on his body and directly killed the thin, middle-aged man. Then, Lin Feng collected the thin, middle-aged man's origin after his death. He searched through the thin, middle-aged man's storage ring. He found a token. It was exactly the same as the token held by the old woman called Granny Ghost. TSK. You really can't judge a book by its cover. The seawater was immeasurable. That makes a lot of sense. The cultivator whose eyes had been dug out clicked his tongue in admiration. The strength of this cultivator was extremely powerful. Lin Feng couldn't even sense the specific realm of this existence. Although this person's eyes were dug out, it didn't affect his battle strength. Lin Feng felt. The cultivator who had his eyes dug out was many times stronger than the thin, middle-aged cultivator he had killed. Lin Feng grinned and said, "Senior, you flatter me. To be able to kill this guy, I was really lucky." The cultivator whose eyes had been gouged out laughed mischievously. When Lin Feng heard his laughter, his hair stood on end. After a few strange laughs, this existence also took out a token that was exactly the same as the one in Lin Feng's hand. Then he entered Sin Street. Lin Feng held the token in his hand and came in front of the restriction. With the protection of the token, Lin Feng smoothly passed through the restriction. After passing through the restriction, Lin Feng found himself in an extremely simple and unadorned street. This extremely simple and unadorned street exuded a cold and terrifying aura. What surprised Lin Feng was that on this street, there were actually many disabled people. Some were missing an arm, some were missing 2 legs, and some were only left with half a head. Of course, there were also able-bodied people here, but there were too few of them. When Lin Feng entered this simple and unadorned street, numerous gazes, instantly looking at Lin Feng. Everyone's attention was on Lin Feng. Lin Feng's expression didn't change as he walked into Sin Street. Newcomer. A creature with only half a head remaining said eerily, "It's been a long time since I've seen a newcomer." Another creature with half a body said, "How did this brat get in? Where did he get the token?" A demon god with 3 heads and 6 arms, but now only had 1 arm and 1 head left, asked curiously. Many people were extremely curious about Lin Feng. He. In the depths of the street, strange laughter could be heard. Granny Ghost was buying something from a small stall. When she saw Lin Feng enter, she let out a ghostly laughter. It was so eerie that it sent chills down one's spine. "Brat, do you know where this is?" A terrifying creature walked out. It was a creature from the 9 Eyes race. But now, this creature only had 1 eye left. The other 8 eyes were already blind. "No matter where. I'll go whenever I want," Lin Feng said indifferently. Ha 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 ha. Suddenly, laughter could be heard from the surroundings. When Granny Ghost heard Lin Feng's words, she laughed eerily as well. The cultivator with his eyes dug out appeared out of nowhere. He said, "This kid killed that cultivator from the Black Spirit clan, stole that cultivator's token, and then sneaked in." He killed the cultivator from the Black Spirit race? Although that guy isn't particularly powerful, he should be in the Imperial Emperor realm, right? This brat is quite skilled. Some people could not help but look at Lin Feng in shock. Many people were astonished and looked at Lin Feng one after another. They were all sizing up Lin Feng. So what? This brat has trespassed on Sin Street. He's going to die. The creature from the 9 Eyes race sneered. Buzz. Next, a terrifying beam of light shot out from his eyes. The beam of light swept toward Lin Feng. It was a beam of light of destruction. Its power was so strong that it made people pale in fright. The light of destruction shattered the void with just a light blow. Then, it enveloped Lin Feng. Just as it was about to hit Lin Feng, Lin Feng's body moved to the left. Chapter 3583. 9 Eyes. Seems like you've deteriorated really fast recently. You can't even deal with a kid like him. Some of the cultivators mocked him. The 9 Eyes race cultivator was enraged. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he said coldly, "T. I was careless earlier and didn't kill this kid. The next time I attack, I'll definitely take his life." As soon as he finished speaking, the 9 Eyes race cultivator's eyes shot out a terrifying attack once again. The previous attack was merely a beam of light. However, it was different this time. There were hundreds of beams of light. Each beam of light seemed to be able to destroy heaven and earth. Hundreds of beams of light. They sealed heaven and earth. They were extremely powerful. It was shocking. Although the Nine Eyes race cultivator was blind in 8 of his eyes, he was still extremely terrifying. Lin Feng could feel the threat of death. Heaven patching technique. At this critical moment, Lin Feng unleashed the heaven patching technique. He instantly disappeared and dodged the Nine Eyes race cultivator's terrifying attack. When he reappeared, he was already hundreds of meters away. At this moment, Lin Feng was walking forward in the void. Lin Feng chanted an ancient incantation. "O mighty Tao of fate, please grant me the power to punish this lowly living being who dares to blaspheme the Tao of fate." Lin Feng was chanting the incantation for the Great Fate technique. When Lin Feng finished chanting the incantation, in the sky, a mysterious power descended from the sky. That mysterious force was the power of fate. Lin Feng's Great Fate technique had only reached the beginner level. Therefore, his Great Fate technique could not summon the River of Fate. For example, the Red World Fairy had cultivated the Great Fate technique to an extremely profound level. Once she chanted the incantation, she could summon the River of Fate to fight against the enemy. The momentum at that time, it was definitely shocking. However, even though he had only summoned a portion of the power of fate, it was already terrifying enough. The power of fate charged toward the Nine Eyes race cultivator. "This is..." Granny Ghost widened her eyes and took a deep breath. What a guy. The cultivator who had his eyes dug out couldn't help but be shocked. That person's son. An old man came out of a shop with only one leg and a walking stick. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Lin Feng. He couldn't help but murmur, "That's right, Lin Feng. Lin Feng is a genius." Child's play. The cultivator from the Nine Eyes race sneered and did not take Lin Feng's attack seriously at all. With a wave of his hand, a hell demon appeared in front of him. The infernal fiend was holding a huge hammer of death. With a roar that shook the heavens, the hammer smashed towards Lin Feng. Of course, that hell demon wasn't a real existence. Instead, it was a body formed by a divine ability. Even so, it was still vivid and lifelike. It was almost no different from the real thing. Incredible. Nine Eyes has even summoned a demon from hell. Looks like he's going for real this time. Can that kid still deal with Nine Eyes attacks? That kid isn't simple either. I wonder if he still has some powerful moves that he hasn't used yet? If he still has some tricks up his sleeve, it won't be easy for Nine Eyes to kill him. Many cultivators started to discuss among themselves. Bam! At this moment, accompanied by a violent collision sound, the attacks from both sides fiercely collided. The infernal fiend formed by the cultivator from the Nine Eyes race was shattered by Lin Feng's Tao of Destiny. Upon seeing this, everyone was shocked. Many people were startled. There were only 3 people who recognized the Grand Fate art. They were Granny Ghost, the cultivator who had his eyes dug out, and the one-legged old man. The 3 of them did not expose Lin Feng. After destroying the infernal fiend, the power of destiny continued to sweep towards the Nine Eyes race cultivator. Bam! The power of destiny slammed into the Nine Eyes race cultivator and sent him flying. Barf! The Nine Eyes race cultivator spat out a mouthful of blood. "Your cultivation is strong, but you're still lacking compared to me. Now, I'll turn you from Nine Eyes to eyeless." Lin Feng sneered and stepped forward, wanting to follow up with another attack. No wonder the Great Art of Destiny was ranked first among the 3,000 great arts. It was terrifying to the extreme as it could break through everything. Lin Feng wanted to take this opportunity to kill the Nine Eyes race cultivator. He wanted to intimidate the others. However, at this moment, a voice came from the depths. "Let people off when possible. I'm sure you understand this, right?" Upon hearing this voice, Lin Feng could not help but frown. He felt extremely pressured. The person who spoke was definitely a terrifying existence. Lin Feng could not help but frown. He finally stopped. The other party might be a big shot in Sin Street. If he could avoid offending such a person, he would try his best not to. "I'll spare your life for the sake of this senior." Lin Feng looked coldly at the Nine Eyes race cultivator. The cultivator of the Nine Eyes clan was furious. He was a cultivator of the top of the Di Huang layer, and Lin Feng had defeated him. It was a great humiliation. However, he was not as strong as Lin Feng. Even though his heart was filled with hatred, he could only swallow this resentment in his stomach. TSK, kid, I welcome you on behalf of Sin Street. The cultivator who had his eyes gouged out grinned. His smile was not good-looking at all. Instead, it looked a little terrifying, especially his eyes, which were hollow and fresh blood flowed out from them from time to time. Lin Feng could not help but feel apprehensive when he saw the cultivator who had his eyes gouged out. This guy had been gloating when he saw him being attacked. Of course, Lin Feng wasn't going to reveal his true feelings. Thank you. Lin Feng cupped his fists. I can't stay here for long. 6 hours later. I have to leave. Otherwise, it will be difficult to leave. The cultivator who had his eyes gouged out said eerily. Lin Feng could not help but be shocked. Why is that? The cultivator who had his eyes gouged out lowered his voice and said, Sin Street does not belong to this batch. It will occasionally appear. However, it will disappear very quickly. Usually, people without a token cannot see Sin Street. Therefore, I'm very curious. How did you find Sin Street? Lin Feng did not expect there to be such a mystery. The reason why he could find Sin Street was probably related to the golden box. However, Lin Feng would not tell the cultivator who had his eyes gouged out about the golden box. After all, who knew if the cultivator who had his eyes gouged out would turn hostile and attack him after knowing about the golden box? Chapter 3584. Lin Feng said calmly, I came to this place by accident. I don't know if there's a trace of fate in this place. At this point, Lin Feng felt a little embarrassed. This was because he was trying to fool the cultivator with his eyes gouged out. The cultivator with his eyes gouged out did not doubt Lin Feng's words. Or rather, he had doubts about Lin Feng's words. However, he did not say it out loud. The cultivator with his eyes gouged out said, We can be considered to have some fate. In order to prevent you from being eaten by Granny Ghost, I'll accompany you on a stroll around Sin Street. Thank you for your kindness, Senior. You're so warm-hearted. Lin Feng cupped his fists and asked, What's the origin of this Sin Street? Senior, can you tell me? The cultivator with his eyes gouged out said, The origin of Sin Street is too great. Legend has it that Sin Street was created by a cultivator with sinner's blood flowing in his veins. It floats in the endless space and has no fixed location. One can only enter and leave with a token. Anyone with a token will be able to sense the exact location of Sin Street when it's within a certain distance. At that time, they can come here with the token in hand. Sin Street is a place that can shelter cultivators. In the beginning, many descendants of Sinner's bloodline hid in Sin Street. That's how they managed to avoid a calamity. After hearing the word Sinner's bloodline, Lin Feng's expression turned extremely ugly, because his sovereign emperor clan was the so-called Sinner's bloodline. Apart from the sovereign emperor clan, there were also the descendants of Nuwa, Pangu, the 3 sovereigns, and 5 emperors. They were also known as the Sinner's bloodline. These people had made important contributions in the early stages of the era's development. However, countless years later, their descendants were labeled as Sinner's bloodline and were suppressed by many factions. One had to admit that this was very heartless. It was also very infuriating. Now, are there still people from those clans here? Lin Feng could not help but ask. I don't think so. The cultivator whose eyes were gouged out said. However, he immediately changed the topic. Then, he said, No, there seems to be someone who is a descendant of Nuwa. A descendant of Nuwa? Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked. At this moment, he thought of the Empress of peerless beauty. They were the descendants of Nuwa. The Empress had been searching for her people all this while. However, he hadn't gained anything yet. The Empress thought, Nuwa clan. She was the only one left. Ever since the Empress left, Lin Feng had never seen her again. He wondered how the Empress was doing now. Is the Empress doing well? Are you sure? Lin Feng asked. The cultivator whose eyes were gouged out said, In the past, I occasionally heard people mention this matter. If you want to confirm it, you can ask Ghost Granny. This, Lin Feng hesitated. Granny Ghost was too scary. It made Lin Feng's hair stand on end. Scared? That's right. Anyway, I don't want to wander around in front of Granny Ghost. Granny Ghost is a very scary person. She kills depending on her mood. If you really make her unhappy, she doesn't care who you are and will definitely take your life. The cultivator whose eyes were gouged out said. Lin Feng said, Of course I'm not scared. Although Granny Ghost looks scary, she doesn't look like an unreasonable person. After hearing Lin Feng's words, the cultivator whose eyes were gouged out looked at Lin Feng with disdain. Obviously, the cultivator whose eyes were gouged out disapproved of Lin Feng's words. However, he didn't say anything else. Lin Feng saw Granny Ghost standing in the distance and walked towards her. It was impossible to say that he wasn't worried that Granny Ghost would attack him. Lin Feng was indeed a little afraid of this Granny Ghost. However, Lin Feng urgently needed to confirm if Granny Ghost was from the Nuwa clan. If Granny Ghost was from the Nuwa clan, he would tell Granny Ghost about the Empress. Granny Ghost might go and look for the Empress. Now, Lin Feng was worried about the Empress's safety. If Granny Ghost went to look for the Empress's whereabouts, she would be able to protect the Empress after finding her. This guy really dared to look for Granny Ghost. The cultivator whose eyes were gouged out couldn't help but mutter and quickly followed. He said, It's not too late to regret now. Regret what? Lin Feng couldn't help but twitch his mouth. Brat, you have guts. The cultivator whose eyes were gouged out said. Soon, Lin Feng came to Granny Ghost's side. Granny Ghost's face was too frightening. Lin Feng wondered if Granny Ghost was disfigured when she was young, so her face became like this. Granny Ghost, this brat has something to say to you. The cultivator whose eyes were gouged out grinned and said. Granny Ghost raised her eyelids and laughed weirdly. Didn't you run away? Why did you come back? Lin Feng was frightened by Granny Gue when he was outside Sin Street. Hence, he ran away. However, after Granny Ghost entered Sin Street, Lin Feng turned back and killed the skinny middle-aged cultivator. He snatched the command medallion from the skinny middle-aged cultivator. Lin Feng smiled awkwardly and said, Junior really couldn't hold back my curiosity towards Sin Street, so I turned back. Granny Ghost said, Haven't you heard of this saying? It's called curiosity killed the cat. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile bitterly. He didn't know what Granny Ghost meant, but he felt that Granny Ghost's words meant something. Lin Feng said, Senior, it's actually like this. Junior has a friend. She is a descendant of the Nuwa clan. What? A descendant of the Nuwa clan? Hearing Lin Feng's words, Granny Ghost's emotionless face suddenly revealed an extremely shocked expression. Then, a look of excitement appeared on her aged face. Where is she? Granny Ghost asked. That year, I went with her to look for a paradise left behind by the Nuwa clan. Not long after we found it, she left. However, she didn't tell me where she went. Lin Feng said, Tell me everything about her in detail. Granny Ghost said with an unprecedentedly serious tone. All right, Lin Feng nodded. Next, he began to tell Granny Ghost many things about the Empress. After listening to him, Granny Ghost couldn't hide her excitement and said, I really didn't expect that there would be a descendant of the Nuwa clan who survived. Do you have her keepsake on you? Keepsake? Lin Feng couldn't help but think. Chapter 3585. Why? You don't have anything of hers? Granny Ghost could not help but ask. Lin Feng nodded and smiled bitterly. Indeed, I don't have anything of hers. However, I can restore the scenes of what happened back then. Granny Ghost said, All right, quickly restore a few scenes for this old one to see. Lin Feng immediately executed the Great Restoration Art, one of the 3,000 Great Das. The Great Restoration Art was not ranked particularly high among the 3,000 Great Das. However, this 3,000 Great Das was very useful. A series of images appeared in mid-air. The cultivator whose eyes were gouged out clicked his tongue in wonder. This descendant of the Nuwa clan is really beautiful. It is hard to find such a beautiful woman in this world. Lin Feng could not help but mutter, With your eyes gouged out, How can you still tell if someone is beautiful or not? The cultivator whose eyes were gouged out said, although my eyes were gouged out, I still have a nose. But I still have my nose, I can smell it. Lin Feng's face was instantly filled with black lines. No matter how he looked at it, this fella looked wretched. If not for this fella's cultivation being too powerful, Lin Feng really wanted to slap him half to death. Granny Ghost glared at the cultivator whose eyes were gouged out and said, Wu Yong, if you don't speak, no one will treat you as a mute. If you dare to speak again, this old one doesn't mind smashing your nose and cutting off your tongue. When the time comes, you will become a complete cripple. After hearing Granny Ghost's threat, the cultivator whose eyes were gouged out quickly shut his mouth. Granny Ghost stretched out her withered right hand and intercepted the scenes of the great empress in midair. Then, Granny Ghost looked at Wu Yong and said, Bring this little friend for a stroll inside. After saying that, Granny Ghost did not linger and quickly left. After Granny Ghost left, the cultivator whose eyes were gouged out said, Now, I can finally confirm one thing. What is it? Lin Feng asked. Granny Ghost is indeed a member of the Nuwa clan. The cultivator whose eyes had been dug out said. Then, he muttered, But I've heard that the members of the Nuwa clan are all extremely beautiful. Look at your little lover. She's as beautiful as a fairy. Look at Granny Ghost. She's so different. I really don't know how Granny Ghost became like this. Bang! After the cultivator whose eyes had been gouged out said those words, an invisible force then bombarded his body. Immediately, he was sent flying. Then, in midair, it was as if an invisible hand was tightly grabbing the neck of the cultivator who had his eyes dug out. The face of the cultivator who had his eyes dug out was flushed red, as if he was about to suffocate to death. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter, It should be the omnipotent Granny Ghost who made a move, right? But then again, this ghost granny was really narrow-minded. Because of a few words. This was the same as trying to take the life of a cultivator whose eyes were dug out. A loose tongue causes a lot of trouble. There was a reason why this phrase could be passed down for so long. Granny Ghost, spare me, for my uncle's sake. Spare me. The cultivator whose eyes had been gouged out begged. Many people who were watching the show were pointing at him. Those people were not ordinary people. Any one of them had an incomparably powerful aura. The aura of some of them made Lin Feng's hair stand on end. He didn't know what realm they were in, but they were definitely extremely terrifying. Humph! Granny Ghost's cold snort resounded in the air. However, Granny Ghost did not continue to make things difficult for the cultivator whose eyes had been dug out. This guy's uncle is from the same generation as Granny Ghost? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter in his heart, Damn it! What are you looking at? All of you. Get the hell away from me. The cultivator whose eyes had been gouged out roared angrily. This guy. His temper was quite bad. None of the surrounding cultivators who were watching the show dared to refute him. It could be seen that this guy's cultivation was incomparably terrifying. It was just that Granny Ghost was just stronger. After those people left, Lin Feng said, Senior, are you all right? I won't die yet. The cultivator whose eyes had been gouged out said in a bad mood. Right now, he had nowhere to vent his anger. Therefore, Lin Feng did not reply. The cultivator whose eyes had been gouged out stabilized his emotions and then said, Let's go inside and take a look. Lin Feng nodded. Following this person, they walked towards the depths of Sin Street. Lin Feng remembered that Granny Ghost had called his name before. It seemed to be Wu Yong. This name was really quite strange. There were all kinds of shops on both sides of Sin Street. There were also many small stalls. Those stall owners weren't ordinary people. Those who could enter Sin Street weren't ordinary people. Some people might not look very eye-catching, but in reality, they might have been heinous devils who killed without batting an eyelid. Most of the people here were disabled. It was because they were hiding from their enemies that they entered Sin Street. Of course, these people were lucky enough to find the token to enter Sin Street. If they couldn't find the token, they wouldn't be able to enter Sin Street. The reason why Sin Street could protect them was because there was an unwritten rule in Sin Street. That was, killing was not allowed in Sin Street. This rule, It had been established ever since Sin Street first appeared. Of course, this can't kill referred to outsiders. They couldn't kill anyone from Sin Street, but the people in Sin Street could kill outsiders. Generally, if one could survive in Sin Street for a day, they would be considered as an official member of Sin Street. At that time, no one would attack you. Of course, in the long history of Sin Street, not everyone would abide by the rules of Sin Street. If anyone dared to openly violate the rules of Sin Street, they would be attacked by the cultivators of Sin Street. The cultivators of Sin Street. Experts were as common as clouds. Who could resist them? Little friend, this old man has a lot of good things here. Why don't you come and see if there's anything you like? At this time, a voice sounded. A one-armed old man looked at Lin Feng with a smile. One-armed Gue-san, what kind of good things can you have? Don't lie. Wu Yong said angrily. Not true. Not true. This time, this old man has some good things, especially this ancient scroll. It has an extremely extraordinary origin. The one-armed old man held a bamboo scroll in his hand. On the bamboo scroll, there were many words written densely. Chapter 3586. The bamboo scroll was very old. He didn't know what was written on it. Lin Feng had the feeling that the contents of the book were extraordinary. Can I take a look at the bamboo scroll? Lin Feng asked, wanting to take a look at the contents. Of course. The one-armed old man handed the bamboo scroll to Lin Feng. Lin Feng slowly unfolded the scroll. There was an extremely ancient script on the scroll. When Lin Feng opened the scroll, Wu Yong even moved his head closer, as if he was also looking at the words on the scroll. Lin Feng was speechless. Had this guy's eyes been dug out? Could he even see the contents? Of course. Lin Feng couldn't be bothered to pay attention to this guy. He carefully observed the words, but Lin Feng didn't recognize them. Thus, he had no idea what was written on the scroll. He transmitted his voice to the Demon Lord, asking if the Demon Lord could recognize the words on the scroll. However, the answer Lin Feng received shocked him. Even the Demon Lord couldn't recognize the words on the scroll. There were very few ancient words that the Demon Lord couldn't recognize. However, the Demon Lord couldn't recognize the ancient words on the scroll. This was enough to explain a lot of things. Buy it, the Demon Lord said concisely. He seemed to always be a man of few words. If he could say one less word, he would be able to express what he wanted to say. The Demon Lord definitely wouldn't say a single word more. Lin Feng looked at the one-armed old man and asked, Senior, how much are you planning to sell it for? The one-armed old man said with a smile, 10 immortal pills. When he heard the price, Lin Feng suddenly had the urge to slap the one-armed old man to death. This old man was really asking for an exorbitant price. Immortal pills were so precious. This old man actually dared to ask for 10 immortal pills? Did he think immortal pills were cabbages? How can I not know its value? Maybe it's just trash. At most, it's worth 1 immortal pill. If it's possible, then we have a deal. If not, then I'll leave. Lin Feng said. The one-armed old man smiled and said, Then this old man will sell at a loss today. I'll sell this ancient slip to you. Although he said that he was selling at a loss, the smile on his face was obviously one of joy. Lin Feng reckoned that the one-armed old man didn't know what was written on the bamboo slips. Such a thing was of little value to him. If Lin Feng was unable to uncover the secrets of the bamboo slips, then, in that case, the bamboo slips were actually the same to him. They were of little value to him. However, since the Demon Lord wanted him to buy it, Lin Feng would definitely not refuse. Who knows, he might actually be able to buy a heaven-defying item. Lin Feng took out an immortal pill and gave it to the one-armed old man. He had about a dozen immortal pills on him, and these immortal pills were all incomparably precious. Every time he used one, he would have one less. The main reason was that immortal pills were hard to find. However, if he could use them, then it would naturally be the result that Lin Feng wanted to see the most. Lin Feng temporarily put away the bamboo slips and waited for the time being to study the contents of the bamboo slips. Young friend, there's another item that I don't know if you're interested in it? The one-armed old man continued. What is it? Lin Feng asked. It's this piece of clothing. The old man pointed at a piece of clothing on the stall. Lin Feng looked over and was immediately shocked. The clothing was very special. It was actually made of stone. It wasn't particularly thick. However, it emitted a cold luster. What kind of clothing is this? Lin Feng asked, puzzled. Stone clothing. Rumor has it that this type of clothing can play a key role in many places. The one-armed old man said. Many places? What kind of places are you referring to? Lin Feng asked, puzzled. The one-armed old man lowered his voice and said softly, in the land of death, it is said that this type of clothing can ward off evil and deceive some unknown creatures in the land of death. There's such a thing? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. Lin Feng was quite familiar with the land of death. Lin Feng knew very well how powerful the terrifying creatures in the land of death were. Some of the terrifying existences were so powerful that the later generations couldn't even begin to fathom them. However, the fact that this type of clothing could block the senses of the terrifying creatures in the land of death sounded somewhat inconceivable. Are you telling the truth? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. He had a feeling that the old man was trying to trick him. It was just stone clothing. Was there really such a heaven-defying ability? It sounded truly inconceivable. The one-armed old man said solemnly, of course it's true. Take a look at the contents of this ancient book. The one-armed old man took out an ancient book that was on the verge of decay and handed it to Lin Feng. What's the content of this ancient book? Lin Feng asked. When we first discovered the stone clothing, we also discovered this ancient book. This ancient book introduces the use of the stone clothing. The one-armed old man said. When Lin Feng heard that, he opened the book and realized that many of the words had already been blurred. Moreover, the words looked like scribbles. It was truly difficult to understand. Stone clothing to ward off evil. Buy it. The demon lord's voice resounded in Lin Feng's mind again. He was extremely shocked. The words stone clothing to ward off evil were enough to explain everything. Was his luck really that good? He had come across so many good things after entering Sin Street. The one-armed old man was an honest person, unlike the immeasurable Taoist. The immeasurable Taoist would often set up stalls in crowded places to sell the things he dug out from ancient tombs. But in reality, the immeasurable Taoist would keep the truly valuable things for himself. He would never sell them. The things he was peddling were all junk. If he could sell one of them, he would have made a profit. How much is the stone clothing? Lin Feng asked. 30 immortal pills, the one-armed old man said with a grin. Lin Feng didn't know if the old man was angry because Lin Feng had forced him to lower the price too much, so he had asked for a higher price than the bamboo slips. He probably knew that Lin Feng would continue to push the price down, so he decided to raise the price. Lin Feng wouldn't continue to raise the price by one immortal pill, right? He should at least be a little shameless, right? Chapter 3587. Upon hearing Lin Feng's words, the old man had the urge to slap Lin Feng to death. This brat had been talking for so long, but all he did was mock his treasures. He had even mocked himself while he was at it. Stone armor Bishia. Such a treasure is hard to find in this world. At least 20 immortal pills, no less. This time, the one-armed old man was very firm. Wu Yong said, 20 immortal pills? Why don't you just rob someone? Give me some face and lower the price. Wu Yong was quite a reputable person in Sin Street. He had scolded the cultivators of Sin Street to scram. Nobody dared to refute him. From this, one could see how terrifying Wu Yong's strength was. He was one of the top few cultivators in Sin Street. That was why nobody dared to refute him. This was a world where the strong were respected, and it had its own laws. Everyone had to abide by the laws of this world. If one did not abide by the laws of this world, death would be the only outcome. The one-armed old man gave Wu Yong some face. He said, 15 immortal pills. This is already my bottom line. Lin Feng said, no matter how good the item is, I can't use it. It's fine if I don't open it. After saying that, he turned to leave. The one-armed old man said, young friend, don't be in such a hurry to leave. However, your price is a little too ridiculous. You should at least give a price that both sides can accept, right? Lin Feng said, Senior, you know that immortal pills are extraordinary. I want to. But I can't. I only have one immortal pill left on me. I'll buy it when I gather enough immortal pills. Who would believe that you only have one immortal pill left on you? The one-armed old man couldn't help but mutter, cursing Lin Feng in his heart for being a sly fox. Lin Feng's stubbornness infuriated the one-armed old man so much that he stomped his feet. Selling at a loss. One immortal pill was just one immortal pill. I'll sell it to you. The one-armed old man was speechless. Lin Feng took out an immortal pill and handed it to the one-armed old man. He then smiled and said, "This is Senior's immortal pill." After the one-armed old man accepted the immortal pill, he handed the stone robe to Lin Feng. Lin Feng studied the stone suit and smiled. Stone armor warding evil. I'll give it a try next time. Perhaps it could really be of great use. Lin Feng had entered and exited the land of death many times, but he had always been active in the outer regions or the central regions of the land of death. But even so, it was still incomparably dangerous. Lin Feng didn't dare to enter the depths of the death impasse, because that place was simply too dangerous. Back then, Lin Feng had felt the terrifying aura emanating from the depths of the death impasse. That aura was too terrifying. It was simply despairing. Therefore, entering rashly, it was very likely that he would die. However, Lin Feng was very curious about what was in the depths of the death impasse. Now, he had obtained such a stone armor. If the stone armor really had the ability to ward off evil spirits, it could block the senses of those terrifying creatures in the land of death. When the time comes, could he wear this stone suit and sneak in? Thinking of this, Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. Looking at your expression, why do I feel like I've made a loss? The one-armed old man couldn't help but say gloomily. Previously, when he sold the bamboo scroll to Lin Feng, the one-armed old man felt that he had made a profit. Because he didn't know what was on the bamboo scroll, he had consulted many people. No one knew. No one could recognize the bamboo scroll. Therefore, the old man was very satisfied to be able to sell the bamboo scroll for the price of an immortal pill. However, the stone armor was different. The stone armor's effect was extraordinary, but in the end, it was only sold for an immortal pill. Now, the old man was vaguely regretting it. Lin Feng said, "How could Senior make a loss? I think Senior made a profit. Let's go. Let's continue to walk around. There are many good things in this place. The people here come from various worlds, so there are many things that you have never seen before," Wu Yong said. Lin Feng nodded and followed Wu Yong inside. In Sin Street, Lin Feng saw all kinds of treasures. For example, he saw a mysterious magic wand. It was accompanied by various spells, and then waving the magic wand, it could release an extremely powerful attack. This magic wand was a magic treasure in the hands of the Western Universe's magicians. It turned out that after some understanding, he found out that the cultivation system of the Western Universe was the magic system. They didn't have the divisions of God, Emperor, Immortal, and so on. Instead, they divided the magician's realm into beginner, intermediate, advanced, and so on. This was the difference between the cultivation systems of the Western and Eastern universes. Naturally, not everything needed to be traded with immortal pills. Only the extremely precious things could be traded with immortal pills. Most things could be traded with immortal stones. Lin Feng bought many array formation materials here. He also bought some more peculiar things. For example, he spent a sky-high price of 10,000 immortal stones. He bought 10 acres of 5-colored celestial soil. The 5-colored celestial soil was a very special soil. This soil could be used to cultivate all kinds of heavenly treasures. It could promote the growth of heavenly treasures. Furthermore, it could allow many natural treasures to live for a longer period of time. Lin Feng obtained many heavenly treasures, but he couldn't plant them, so he sealed them and stored them in the mountain river ring. For example, Lin Feng had dealt with the hundreds of immortal herbs he obtained in this way. If the soil wasn't up to standard, these immortal herbs would very likely wither and die. So he could only use the sealing method. But in fact, even if those immortal herbs were sealed, as time passed, the medicinal efficacy would also quickly weaken, and they would gradually wither and die. Many immortal herbs couldn't display their original effects in the end, because a large amount of medicinal efficacy was lost. This kind of thing couldn't be avoided. However, after obtaining the 5-colored celestial soil, Lin Feng could plant all these heavenly treasures in the 5-colored celestial soil. When the time came, those heavenly treasures could continue to grow, and their medicinal efficacy wouldn't be lost. Instead, they would be even more powerful. In addition to the 5-colored celestial soil, Lin Feng also bought some precious jade talismans, such as the raw jade used to refine the void teleportation talisman. This kind of raw jade was extremely rare. It was very difficult to find outside. But here, Lin Feng bought thousands of pieces. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At this time, the golden box in the mountain river ring emitted waves of violent fluctuations again. Lin Feng couldn't help but be very surprised. Chapter 3588. The unusual movement of the golden box told Lin Feng that the treasure seemed to be around. However, the golden box couldn't show Lin Feng the way to the treasure. There seemed to be a strange force here that blocked this kind of perception. Therefore, Lin Feng had to find it himself. The fluctuation of the golden box was faintly discernible. Because Sin Street was strange, it had a certain suppressive effect on things brought in from the outside. Lin Feng deduced with the innate 8 trigrams in his heart. Now, he was more and more proficient with the innate 8 trigrams. Therefore, he was able to deduce with his mind. Of course, the effect of the deduction with his mind might not be as good as the deduction with a proper technique. But the innate 8 trigrams itself was too extraordinary. Therefore, even if he used his mind to deduce, he could deduce some extraordinary content. After a round of deduction, Lin Feng's target was a building in the depths of the street. It was a 5-story wooden building. It was not particularly big and was completely independent. It was located in the center of the street. This wooden building was not particularly tall, but it was already the highest floor in Sin Street. It was also the floor in the depths. Looking carefully, the 2 sides of the street were on the left and right sides of the wooden building. Vaguely, the wooden building in the middle seemed to have a royal aura. Lin Feng looked at the wooden building and frowned slightly. What's wrong? Is there something wrong? Wu Yong asked. His perception was very sharp. Lin Feng's every move could not escape his perception. Lin Feng looked at the shops on both sides of the street and then looked at the wooden building. He said, "When I first came in, I didn't notice it until now. There are 95 shops on the left side and 95 shops on the right side. The single wooden building in the depths is not connected to the shops on both sides. It's quite strange. If I'm not wrong, there should be 99 shops on both sides in the past, right? Later, someone divided the 9 into 5 and demolished 4 of them. Therefore, the shops on both sides changed from 99 to 95. As 4 shops on both sides have been demolished, the shops on both sides can no longer be connected to the wooden building in the depths." After hearing Lin Feng's words, Wu Yong couldn't help but be very surprised. He looked deeply at Lin Feng and said, "It's really surprising. You seem to know too many things at your age. Also, you seem to know a thing or two about feng shui." Lin Feng said, "Actually, it's not that I know much. Instead, I've heard of the story of the ancient sage emperors cutting 9 into 5. From then on, those ancient emperors changed from 9 to 5. Wu Yong said, "There is indeed such a saying. 9 is the ultimate number. Although it has the meaning of supremacy, it actually carries with it an ominous feeling. You need to cut 9 into 5. The ancient emperors called it the 9-5 supremacy. Only then can you resolve this ominous feeling. Many strange things had happened in the past. Later generations could no longer find out how those things happened. For example, the fates of some ancient saint emperors in their later years were extremely miserable. They were at the peak of their lives, unhindered in the world, sweeping everything before him. But in their later years, something ominous happened. This was also the reason why the ancient emperors cut 9 into 5. Lin Feng continued, "As for the feng shui that Senior mentioned, this junior has indeed dabbled in it. If this place had the power of 9 supremacy, it would definitely be a place of great danger. But after cutting 9 into 5, it seems to have resolved the evil aura here." Wu Yong said, "I heard that after the descendants of the sinner's blood hid in Sin Street, something terrible happened there. Many people died at that time. Lin Feng was shocked. There was actually such a thing? It seemed that some inexplicable things had happened in Sin Street back then. In this world, there were many things that couldn't be explained with words. Are there no historical records of what happened back then? Lin Feng asked. Perhaps there are. But time is long. After such a long time, many things have been lost. Even the descendants of the sinner's blood were buried in the long river of history. Wu Yong couldn't help but sigh. Those who were now known as the descendants of the sinner's blood. Their ancestors had once shed blood and fought for the countless lives of this era. Their blood had dyed the starry sky world red. They had no regrets. But unfortunately, their descendants had encountered tragic things. Many times. The things that happened in the world of cultivators made Han Xian very happy. Because too many people were selfish. They only thought of themselves and didn't care about the feelings of others. These great existences had done everything. In the eyes of many, this was a matter of course. Therefore, many people didn't feel grateful. And they gradually forgot what those great existences had done for them or their ancestors, what kind of kindness they had shown them. Where is that wooden building now? Lin Feng asked. It's also a place for trading. There are many good things. Of course, the price will be higher. Wu Yong said. Let's go and take a look. Lin Feng said. Wu Yong nodded and walked towards the depths with Lin Feng. Very soon, they arrived at the depths. When they arrived here, the golden box, which had calmed down, fluctuated again. However, the space around the wooden building seemed to be enveloped by an invisible force. The golden box's fluctuation was instantly suppressed. It's inside, Lin Feng couldn't help but say to himself. He was already certain. The thing that caused the golden box to fluctuate must be inside the wooden building. He entered the wooden building with Wu Yong. The first floor of the wooden building was a hall with many exhibition booths. On the booths, there were all kinds of items. Many of the items were extremely precious. Wu Yong introduced, the first floor has all kinds of strange items. The second floor has all kinds of immortal herbs and immortal flower seeds or materials to cultivate them. The third floor has all kinds of insect eggs and insect materials. You can take a good look at the third floor because it contains all kinds of precious insect materials and insect eggs from all over the starry sky world. The fourth floor sells the most precious forging materials and even many magic treasures. The fifth floor is a vast sea of magical ability inheritances. The sixth floor is the reception hall and VIP room. The seventh floor is the resting place of the owner of Sin Street. The resting place of the owner of Sin Street? Who is the owner of Sin Street? Lin Feng asked in surprise. Chapter 3589. Hearing that, Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked. Lin Feng didn't know how powerful Granny Ghost was. But this Wu Yong was extremely terrifying. And Wu Yong didn't even have the power to resist Granny Ghost. From this, one could roughly guess how powerful Granny Ghost was. Granny Ghost had to call herself a junior in front of this expert. How powerful was the owner of Sin Street? How ancient was he? Lin Feng didn't dare to make wild guesses. But he could imagine that this existence must be terrifying to an unheard of degree. The first floor was indeed filled with many natural oddities, and Lin Feng swept through them one by one. He was looking for the thing that caused the golden box to move. Although the golden box was suppressed very much. But Lin Feng felt that if the treasure that caused the golden box to move appeared, the golden box would definitely move again. Among the natural oddities on the first floor, Lin Feng even saw a magical crystal ball. Inside the crystal ball, there were surging waves. An ocean was actually sealed inside the crystal ball. Lin Feng saw many islands, ships, and the creatures living on the islands in the crystal ball, including the creatures of various races. When he saw the crystal ball, Lin Feng's expression changed again and again. The crystal ball sealed the ocean world. In their view, they could easily control the fate of all the creatures living in the ocean world sealed in the crystal ball. A thought suddenly popped into Lin Feng's mind. The world they were living in now seemed to be vast and boundless. Would it be exactly the same as what was shown in the crystal ball? Actually, they were also living in a world like the crystal ball. It was just that the creatures living in this world didn't know anything. When this thought popped up in his mind, Lin Feng was frightened by this thought. If that was really the case, then the billions of creatures in this world were all ants. This thought was really too terrifying. Lin Feng didn't even dare to continue thinking about it. Lin Feng originally wanted to buy this crystal ball, but the price of this crystal ball was as high as 45 immortal pills. Moreover, the most important thing was all the goods in the wooden building. There was no bargaining. All the goods here had a fixed price. Lin Feng only had a dozen immortal pills on him, but he couldn't afford this crystal ball. This thing is too expensive. Lin Feng couldn't help but say. Wu Yong said, expensive? Of course there's a reason. This place is different from the outside. The things that can appear in the wooden building are all treasures. There are many things outside. There are indeed some things that may be treasures, but most of them are actually junk and have no value. So, although the things in the wooden building are expensive, at least, you won't buy fake goods. Of course, the price is immortal pills. The price is immortal pills test yes, right? The various things in the Sevens building. Naturally, they were sold to the people who entered and left Sin Street. But Lin Feng glanced at him. There didn't seem to be many people on Sin Street. Therefore, the business here wasn't good. Lin Feng asked, how many people are there in Sin Street? Wu Yong said, it's said that 10,000 tokens were forged in the past. So, at most, 10,000 people can enter and leave this place. However, as time passed, some tokens were lost and some were damaged. Therefore, the number of cultivators who can enter this place shouldn't reach 10,000. And these people with tokens are scattered in various corners of the universe. As for the permanent population of Sin Street, there are only about 2,000 people. Lin Feng nodded. He walked around the first floor. He found many good things. But the treasures that could really pique Lin Feng's interest were usually priced with immortal pills. Lin Feng had a limited number of immortal pills. He still had to keep those immortal pills for emergencies. So he didn't make a move. Some of the things he didn't like were priced with immortal stones. Lin Feng and Wu Yong didn't find anything on the first floor, so they went to the second floor. There were about 10 people on the second floor. There were hundreds of items on the display table. Some were seeds of immortal herbs and immortal flowers. Some were cultivation materials. For example, the 5-colored celestial soil was also sold here, but the price was much higher than outside. Of course, the 5-colored celestial soil here was also purer. Dragon God Grass, Phoenix Bloodgrass, Phoenix God Fruit, Azure Dragon Vine, Ghost Face Vine, Myriad Holy Flower, Blazing Sunflower. Lin Feng looked at the seeds and couldn't help but be shocked. The seeds here were too rare. They were all immortal seeds. Once they matured, they could turn into immortal herbs and immortal herbs. There were 2 ways for these immortal herbs and immortal herbs to evolve into immortal herbs and immortal herbs. The first way, ordinary immortal herbs and immortal herbs had to go through several lightning tribulations, cross the life and death boundary, and grow for 1,000,000 years. Only then could they complete the transformation. The second way, some immortal herbs were cultivated from the seeds of immortal herbs. If the immortal herbs and immortal herbs were cultivated from seeds, they would evolve into immortal herbs and immortal herbs in a shorter period. It would take at least a few hundred years, and at most tens of thousands of years to successfully cultivate them. Of course, the most important thing was that these seeds were too rare. Lin Feng had been to many places, and he had many immortal herbs and immortal herbs. However, Lin Feng had never seen the seeds of these immortal herbs and immortal herbs. It was said that even those immortal herbs and immortal herbs couldn't bear seeds. Only a small number of immortal herbs could bear seeds. Only a few immortal herbs could bear seeds. The seeds of these immortal herbs and immortal herbs were extremely expensive. A single seed, it would cost 300 immortal stones. Lin Feng didn't have many immortal pills, but he had a lot of immortal stones. He bought 100 immortal herbs and immortal herb seeds. Then, he bought some materials to cultivate these immortal herbs and immortal herb seeds. He spent a total of 40,000 immortal stones. Lin Feng had about 2 to 3 million immortal stones in total. Apart from the immortal stones that he had obtained himself, the rest of the immortal stones were obtained from the storage rings of the cultivators that he had killed. Therefore, 40,000 immortal stones wasn't a big number to Lin Feng. After purchasing the items on the second floor, Lin Feng and Wu Yong went to the third floor together. On the third floor, all kinds of precious insect materials and eggs were sold. Lin Feng had just arrived on the third floor when he saw a kind of poisonous insect being cultivated in a huge glass container. The poisonous insect was the size of a thumb, as black as ink, and emitted a sinister and terrifying aura. Chapter 3590. Lin Feng had seen the God-devouring bug before, but he had never seen the celestial devouring bug before. It was rumored that the God-devouring bug had a trace of the bloodline power of the celestial devouring bug. The spirit-eating bug was already a terrifying existence that made people pale at the mention of it. Not to mention the more powerful celestial devouring bug. The terror of the celestial devouring bug was simply unimaginable. So now, the terrifying existence recorded in the classic of mountains and seas appeared in front of Lin Feng. Lin Feng was still very shocked. 5 immortal pills. Lin Feng looked at the price of the celestial devouring bug queen. Although the price was very expensive, however, thinking of the terror of the celestial devouring bug, the price was actually quite reasonable. If the celestial devouring bug group is cultivated, it will definitely be a great help to you. Young master can buy a queen to cultivate. A female cultivator walked over. She should be the salesperson here. Okay, then I'll take a queen celestial devouring bug, Lin Feng said. He took out 5 immortal pills and handed them to the female cultivator. The female cultivator took out a queen celestial devouring bug, then sealed it in a porcelain bottle and handed it to Lin Feng. The queen celestial devouring bug's requirements for food are very strict, so you can't feed it casually. Otherwise, the queen celestial devouring bug might die. If you don't use the queen celestial devouring bug to breed eggs, you can feed it once every 100 years. If you use the queen celestial devouring bug to breed eggs, you need to collect some precious insect materials to feed the queen celestial devouring bug. As for how many times you need to feed the queen celestial devouring bug, it depends on what kind of insect materials are used to feed the queen celestial devouring bug, the female cultivator said. Then, she handed Lin Feng a brocade. The female cultivator continued, there are dozens of insect materials written on it, all of which are used to cultivate the queen celestial devouring bug. Lin Feng opened it and took a look. He found many insect materials that he had never even heard of before. Even some insect materials that he had heard of were extremely difficult to find. Do you have any insect materials to cultivate the queen celestial devouring bug here? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. We originally had some, but they were bought by someone a few days ago. So now, we don't have any more materials to cultivate the celestial devouring insect queen, the female cultivator said. Lin Feng nodded. He also put away the porcelain bottle with the mother bug and the brocade with the names of all kinds of insect materials. Lin Feng then asked, do you have any materials that can be used to nurture Emperor Archaic, primordial ancestral worm, or primordial demon refining worm? The female cultivator said, yes. All kinds of insect materials and their prices are in this jade tube. Young master, you can check it. The female cultivator then handed a jade tube to Lin Feng. Lin Feng's spiritual will entered the jade tube. In an instant, all sorts of information flooded into Lin Feng's mind. These insect materials were traded with immortal stones. Lin Feng took all the materials needed to cultivate the Emperor Archaic, the ancestral insect, and the chaos demon refining insect. He spent a total of 24,000 immortal stones. These included 15 materials for cultivating the Emperor Archaic, 21 materials for cultivating the ancestral insect, and 23 materials for cultivating the chaos demon refining insect. These insect materials were incomparably precious. That was why they were so expensive. Normally, Lin Feng would have a hard time finding even a single insect material. But now, he had collected so many insect materials, which made Lin Feng very excited. But now, the ancestral insect was still a larva of the Emperor Archaic, so it was very difficult for it to be of help to Lin Feng. Unless the primordial ancestral insect and the primordial emperor butterfly completed their evolution. But evolving was easier said than done. They either had to cultivate for a very long time to complete their evolution, or they had to constantly devour all kinds of precious insect materials. Now that Lin Feng had so many insect materials, would he be able to help the Emperor Archaic or the ancestral insect complete their evolution? As for the Chaos Demon refining insect, it had become a huge help to Lin Feng. This was also one of Lin Feng's hidden methods. Once the insect swarm was released, the momentum would be absolutely terrifying. Now, Lin Feng had obtained the mother of the celestial devouring insect. If he could cultivate a swarm of celestial devouring insects in the future, at that time, the celestial devouring insect swarm and the chaos demon refining insect swarm would complement each other. The threat level would definitely increase significantly. Lin Feng did not look at the other mother insects or eggs, because the mother insects or eggs here were incomparably precious. They were basically priced in immortal pills. Lin Feng only had 10 immortal pills left. He could not continue to spin these immortal pills. Moreover, Lin Feng had already obtained the Emperor Archaic, the ancestral insect, the chaos demon refining insect swarm, and the celestial devouring insect mother insect. With these 4 insects, they could already deal with many things. If there were more, Lin Feng would not have so much energy to cultivate them. Lin Feng and Wu Yong came to the 4th floor. There were dozens of precious refining materials and more than a dozen magic treasures on the 4th floor. Lin Feng was surprised to find that the lowest grade of refining materials here were actually materials for refining emperor weapons. The materials for refining emperor weapons were very difficult to find. Now, many Emperor Realm cultivators had yet to master emperor weapons. The reason was, it was still because they could not find the materials for refining emperor weapons. Yet, there were so many precious materials here. It was truly inconceivable. Lin Feng even found 3 materials for refining immortal weapons. However, the materials for refining immortal weapons were too precious. One piece required 3,000 immortal pills. It was a sky-high price, and those materials for refining emperor weapons required more than 100 immortal pills. Different materials had different prices. Lin Feng could not afford these refining materials. It was not that Lin Feng was not rich enough. The main reason was that the currency here was immortal pills. Many precious things were priced in immortal pills. If they were priced in immortal stones, Lin Feng could naturally afford the things here. Lin Feng was quite rich. All kinds of treasures were piled up like a mountain. Lin Feng walked towards the dozens of magic treasures. These magic treasures were basically all emperor weapons. However, what surprised Lin Feng was that there were actually 2 immortal weapons here. The first immortal weapon was a jade gourd. The second immortal weapon was an immortal sword. These 2 immortal weapons were intact. Their power must be unimaginably terrifying. However, these emperor weapons and immortal weapons were not priced, because the value of these things was too high. If anyone took a fancy to them, at that time, they could talk in private. Then, they could discuss the price. Lin Feng and Wu Yong did not stay on the 4th floor for too long. They came to the 5th floor. The display table here was densely packed with jade tubes. Each jade tube recorded a divine ability. Lin Feng looked around and found some of the 3,000 Great Das. Some of the 3,000 Great Das were ones that he had never learned before. However, the prices of the 3,000 Great Das here were extremely high. Chapter 3591. Lin Feng couldn't help but shake his head slightly. It seemed that the idea of buying the 3,000 Great Dao here would fall through. Is there anything else you want to buy? Wu Yong asked. Lin Feng shook his head. Then he frowned. Along the way, Lin Feng had been searching for the thing that caused the golden box to move, but he didn't find anything, and the golden box didn't make any more movements. Lin Feng couldn't help but whisper to himself, could it be that the laws in the wooden building were suppressing the golden box too much? So, even if the golden box was very close to that thing, it still couldn't cause any movement? Thinking of this, Lin Feng couldn't help but smile bitterly. In that case, didn't that mean, was he destined to miss the opportunity to obtain that item this time? Since there's nothing else to buy, let's go. We can go to other places to have a look. Wu Yong said. Okay. Lin Feng nodded. He walked downstairs with Wu Yong. Just as they reached the stairs, suddenly, A cultivator came down from upstairs. Then he said, "Brother Wu, and this little brother, please wait." "It's Brother Shui." Wu Yong cupped his fists. Lin Feng also saw the cultivator who spoke at this time. He looked to be in his 40s. Of course, his actual age was far more than that. "Greetings, senior." Lin Feng cupped his fists. "You two are welcome." The cultivator smiled and then said, "It's like this. The old ancestor wants to see this little brother." "Oh? The old ancestor wants to see this kid?" Wu Yong couldn't help but be a little surprised. But after thinking of that person, Wu Yong felt relieved. The cultivator surnamed Shui said, "That's right. So the old ancestor sent me down to invite this little brother up. Brother Wu can rest on the 6th floor for a while. I'll take this little brother to see the old ancestor." "Okay, no problem." Wu Yong nodded. The old ancestor that the cultivator surnamed Shui mentioned, Lin Feng guessed that it should be the owner of Sin Street. This expert. What was his identity? Lin Feng was also very curious. One had to know that even the unfathomable granny ghost had to call herself a junior in front of this expert. Lin Feng didn't know why the other party wanted to see him. However, there was one thing that Lin Feng was sure of, and that was that the other party didn't have any ill intentions. If this person wanted to deal with him, he would have done so long ago. There was no need for him to wait until now. "Senior, please lead the way." Lin Feng cupped his fists and said. The cultivator surnamed Shui nodded and said, "Follow me." Then, he walked upstairs. Lin Feng and Wu Yong followed behind him and headed upstairs. Wu Yong stayed on the 6th floor to rest. Lin Feng followed the cultivator surnamed Shui to the 7th floor, where they stopped outside a room. The cultivator surnamed Shui said respectfully, "Ancestor, I've brought him." "All right, you may leave." An old voice came from the room. It was the old man who had stopped Lin Feng from killing the Nine Eyes clan cultivator. "Yes." The cultivator with the surname Shui replied. He then bowed and left. Junior Lin Feng greets Senior. Lin Feng stood outside the door and bowed. "Come in," the old man said. Hearing this, Lin Feng pushed the door open and entered. As soon as he entered the room, he saw a tall and burly old man sitting at the table and sipping tea. This old man, he should be the owner of Sin Street. However, Lin Feng wondered if this old man was a descendant of the sinner's blood. "You're Lin Baiqian's son?" the old man asked. Lin Feng couldn't help but feel surprised. He didn't expect the old man to know his identity. This shocked Lin Feng. Lin Feng replied, "Yes, my father is Lin Baiqian." The old man sighed. "It's been more than 100 years. When your father came here, he was still very young. In the blink of an eye, his son is already so old." Lin Feng was shocked. "My father has been to Sin Street before?" The old man nodded. "Yes, he has been here before and stayed here for a period of time." After a pause, the old man asked, "How is your father now?" Lin Feng said, "My father went to the extraterritorial starry world because of some matters. I haven't seen him for some time." Lin Feng did not know much about the old man. Therefore, Lin Feng did not tell the old man everything. "It must be fate that you were able to find Sin Street this time. You must have obtained a golden box, right?" The old man looked at Lin Feng and asked. Lin Feng nodded and said, "That's right. This junior obtained a golden box before. The reason I was able to come to Sin Street was because of this golden box." The golden box was acting strangely, as if something in Sin Street was summoning it. "This junior has been searching for a long time, but I haven't been able to find any clues." The old man was clearly someone with great abilities. Therefore, he knew a lot about Lin Feng. Therefore, Lin Feng did not hide the golden box from the old man. He took out the golden box and handed it to the old man. "Senior, this is the box." The old man glanced at it and said, "You don't have to give it to me. It belongs to you. The golden box is acting strangely because of this key." The old man took out a golden key and handed it to Lin Feng. There was a small lock on the golden box. This key should be the key used to open the small lock. Lin Feng took the golden key in his hand. However, he did not continue to open the lock. Instead, he kept the golden box and the key. The old man continued, "In the past, your father left something with me. Since you're here, I'll give it to you." May I know what it is? Lin Feng asked curiously. You will know when you see it, the old man said. Then, he took out an item. This item. It was a scroll. Lin Feng did not open the scroll. Instead, he kept it. After leaving this place, he would carefully study the contents of the scroll. Good. I have given you the item. You can leave now. Cultivate well. The future belongs to young people like you. The old man said. This junior will definitely cultivate diligently and not disappoint senior. Lin Feng cupped his fists and said. Then, he bid farewell and left. He went to the 6th floor. He met up with Wu Yong. Immediately, the two of them walked out. Lin Feng said, I plan to leave. Senior, what are your plans? I also plan to leave this place. This place is quite boring. I don't want to stay here. Wu Yong said. The two of them went outside. Lin Feng saw several cultivators coming from the opposite side. After seeing one of the female cultivators, Lin Feng frowned slightly. Unexpectedly. Chapter 3592. Ziyuan. She was no longer as young as she used to be. Now, she had grown into a slender and elegant woman with a beautiful face. However, she was no longer the Ziyuan in Lin Feng's heart. The sea had turned into mulberry fields. Things remained the same, but people had changed. They met again. Only coldness remained. The people beside Ziyuan were all in black robes. When Lin Feng saw them, his eyes narrowed. Kid, we meet again. The Tai Dao Zun master looked at Lin Feng coldly. Lin Feng's face turned gloomy when he saw Tai Dao Honorable Lord. He had almost died in the hands of Tai Dao Honorable Lord in the past. If Master Tortoise had not injured Tai Dao Honorable Lord, he would not have been able to escape that time. It seemed that Tai Dao Honorable Lord had recovered after so many years. Tai Dao Honorable Lord had told Lin Feng that many ancestors of the Sovereign Emperor clan had been killed by him. Lin Feng did not know if Tai Dao Honorable Lord was telling the truth. However, Tai Dao Honorable Lord, Yuantian Honorable Lord, Taichu Honorable Lord, and Terminator Honorable Lord had attacked Lin Qi together. That battle had caused Lin Qi's origin to be injured. Hence, the grudge between the two parties was irreconcilable. Of course, Tai Dao Honorable Lord was not as strong as he used to be. He was a living being who had transcended eras, so his cultivation would continue to weaken. Hence, these living beings who had transcended eras hoped that the eras would end quickly. When the eras ended, a new era had arrived. At that time, these people would be reborn, and their cultivation would be able to reach the peak quickly. You were beaten half to death by my master previously, and you still have the cheek to jump out? If I were you, I would never come out again. It's too embarrassing. Of course, some people might be thick-skinned and don't care, said Lin Feng, twitching his mouth. He was not afraid of Tai Dao Honorable Lord and the others in Sin Street. Lin Feng knew that Tai Dao Honorable Lord and the others would not dare to attack him casually. Brat, what did you say? Upon hearing Lin Feng's words, Tai Dao Honorable Lord's face darkened. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He couldn't wait to kill Lin Feng. At the very beginning, the Tai Dao Honorable Lord wanted to toy with Lin Feng, slowly play Lin Feng to death. But later on, the Grand Dao Honorable Lord found out. Lin Feng seemed to be enveloped by great luck. Not only did he not die in the numerous life and death crises, but he also became stronger and stronger. The Tai Dao Honorable Lord was a cautious person. Seeing that Lin Feng was extremely lucky, he decided to kill Lin Feng personally. However, the Tai Dao Supremacy had personally taken action, yet he had ended up being severely injured by Lin Feng's master. The Tai Dao Supremacy still felt extremely sullen when he recalled what had happened back then. Now that he saw Lin Feng again, Tai Dao Lord took the initiative to release his killing intent. You don't understand human language? But thinking about it, it was still death. Who the hell knows what your race is made of? It's normal for a lowly race to not understand the noble human language. Lin Feng curled his lips and continued to mock him. The Tai Dao Supremacy was high up and looked down on all living beings. He had once said that the human race was a lowly race. Of course, the Tai Dao Supremacy didn't just think that the human race was a lowly race. In his eyes, Many other races were lowly races. The Tai Dao supremacy looked down on the various races of this era. Now, Lin Feng had returned the same words to the Tai Dao supremacy. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Slaughter. Kill this brat. The Tai Dao supremacy said indifferently. Yes, master. A black-robed cultivator stepped out. He was the Tai Dao supremacy's disciple. He looked rather young, and his face was incomparably cold and stern. These living beings who had crossed eras naturally had descendants. Slaughter was the descendant of these living beings who had crossed eras. Due to his outstanding talent, he was accepted as a disciple by the Tai Dao supremacy. Although he had only cultivated for a few hundred years, his cultivation was extremely terrifying. The Tai Dao supremacy might have known that if he were to attack here, he would definitely be stopped. Therefore, he sent his disciple to kill Lin Feng. Moreover, the Tai Dao supremacy obviously trusted his disciple very much. In the Tai Dao supremacy's opinion, Lin Feng was too weak compared to his disciple. Swoosh! Slaughter's body swayed. He instantly disappeared. This person's speed was simply too fast. It was so fast that it was unbelievable. In the next moment, by the time Tu Lu attacked again, this person had already arrived in front of Lin Feng. Then, he threw a punch at Lin Feng. Slaughter's speed was extremely fast. Moreover, this person's cultivation was terrifying. This punch made Lin Feng feel a little dignified. Of course, Lin Feng's cultivation was very strong. He was fearless. He also threw a punch. Bam! Accompanied by a violent collision sound, Lin Feng and Slaughter collided. Both of them were evenly matched. Slaughter sneered and said, "This attack just now. I didn't even use 10% of my strength. But next, I'll play with you properly. 3 punches, at most 3 punches, and it'll be enough to kill you." Slaughter had a very arrogant character, because he was indeed very strong. Moreover, he was a cultivator from a race that had transcended eras. He thought that he was high and mighty. Therefore, this person naturally did not take Lin Feng seriously. His words were full of contempt and disdain for Lin Feng. Judging from his tone, killing Lin Feng seemed to be effortless. "You're really full of yourself. I reckon your face will be swollen later." Lin Feng sneered and said, "Ignorant." Slaughter sneered out loud. He only said 2 words. From these 2 words, one could see Slaughter's contempt and disdain for Lin Feng. Slaughter moved his body and was about to attack again. Just at this moment, Wu Yong said indifferently, "Sin Street prohibits private fights. If you don't abide by the rules, that's provoking Sin Street. What are the consequences? I'm sure you know." Tai Dao Honorable Lord raised his eyebrows slightly. He looked at Slaughter and said, "Slaughter, stop. The rules of Sin Street still need to be followed." Hearing this, Slaughter seemed to be very unwilling. However, his master, Tai Dao Honorable Lord, had already spoken. He naturally did not dare to disobey. Slaughter looked at Lin Feng indifferently and said, "Kid, you're lucky to have kept your life today, but you better pray that you don't see me outside. Because, if you do, I'll let you know that in front of me, you're just a lowly ant. If I want to kill you, it'll be like crushing a bug. I'll return the same words to you." Lin Feng sneered. Tu Lu didn't say anything else. He just looked at Lin Feng with a cold smile and disdain. "Let's go," Tai Dao Honorable Lord said. Chapter 3593. From the beginning to the end. Ziyuan didn't even look at Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't look at Ziyuan either. Now the two of them, they were like strangers. These guys are from a race that transcended eras, right? Why would they come to Sin Street? It's really strange. Wu Yong couldn't help but mutter. Lin Feng shook his head. He didn't know why these people came here. "I originally wanted to leave this place, but now I've decided to stay. I want to see why these people came to Sin Street." Wu Yong said, "All right, then I'll leave Sin Street first." Lin Feng said, "I'll send you out." Wu Yong said. Lin Feng walked out of Sin Street. When he walked out of Sin Street actually disappeared. Lin Feng quickly left this place and returned to his residence. After returning, Lin Feng took out the golden box and key. He used the key to open the golden box. Lin Feng felt his heart beating violently. Perhaps at this time, no one could be calm. Lin Feng couldn't do it either. Kacha, kacha. The sound of the small lock rubbing against each other could be heard. The small lock was opened. Lin Feng removed the small lock. Next, Lin Feng opened the box. The thing inside. It was imprinted in Lin Feng's eyes. What is this thing? Lin Feng looked at the thing in the golden box in surprise. It was a piece of pitch-black thing. It didn't look like an ore. He didn't know what it was. Lin Feng reached out to touch it and found that it was cold. He probed it with his divine sense and found that it couldn't penetrate it. Then Lin Feng tried to use a drop of blood to refine it, but he failed in the end. What the hell is this? Even a drop of blood to refine it didn't work. Even a probe with divine sense didn't work. And this thing didn't have any fluctuations. It's really strange. Lin Feng frowned. This thing was indeed strange. It made him puzzled. He didn't know what it was. Demon Lord, do you know what this is? Lin Feng asked. The Demon Lord was knowledgeable. Perhaps he would be able to recognize the origin of this item. However, the Demon Lord was unable to recognize what this thing was. The Demon Lord said, I don't recognize this thing either. Lin Feng put the item away for the time being. He would find out what this thing was in the future. Since it was stored in a golden box, Lin Feng knew. This item was definitely an extraordinary item. Perhaps in the future, when they found out what this thing was, it would be enough to shock the world. Lin Feng took out the scroll that the owner of Sin Street had given him. This was a scroll left behind by his father. Lin Feng opened the scroll. What's going on? Then, he was puzzled. There was nothing on the scroll. It was completely blank. There were no words and no pictures. It was too strange. A scroll left behind by my father shouldn't be so ordinary. There must be something else about this scroll. However, I reckon that the owner of Sin Street was unable to find out the secret within the scroll. If he had found out the secret within the scroll, he probably wouldn't have given it to me. Because he couldn't find out the secret within the scroll, he did me a favor and gave it to me. Lin Feng couldn't help but ponder. Next, Lin Feng tried to use magic power to refine the scroll, using blood to refine it and other methods, but he failed. A wordless scroll. It really seemed very ordinary. Lin Feng decided to ask Wu Liang Taoist for help. This damn Taoist was very knowledgeable. Perhaps he could recognize the wordless scroll? Bang, bang, bang. Lin Feng knocked on the door. Wu Liang Taoist opened the door. This guy had an incomparably wretched smile as he said, knocking on my door in the middle of the night instead of sleeping. Are you trying to drag me to have some fun? Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. This damn Taoist was really the scum of Taoism. What was going on in his head all day? Lin Feng said, I have something important to tell you. Let me show you something. See if you recognize it. Oh? What is it? Wu Liang Taoist's eyes suddenly lit up. This guy knew that the thing Lin Feng took out was definitely extraordinary. Let's talk inside, Lin Feng said. They entered Wu Liang Taoist's room. Then, he took out the scroll. He opened it. Wu Liang Taoist looked at the scroll and frowned slightly. A wordless scroll? Lin Feng nodded and said, That's right. It's a very strange scroll that can't be refined. It doesn't seem to be a magic treasure. However, this scroll was left behind by my father. It shouldn't be an ordinary item. I have a few methods to try. Wu Liang Taoist said. All right, then let's try your method, Lin Feng said. Next, Wu Liang Taoist used a series of methods such as flooding and roasting. Lin Feng couldn't help but be speechless. Is there any result? Lin Feng asked. Wu Liang Taoist nodded seriously and said, There is a result. Lin Feng's eyes immediately lit up and said, What did you find out? Wu Liang Taoist said, After a series of research, if this scroll was an ordinary item, it would have been destroyed long ago. However, it is still intact. This means that this scroll is indeed not an ordinary item. Lin Feng immediately rolled his eyes. This damn Taoist's words were simply nonsense. You soaked it in water and roasted it with fire. After fiddling with it for half a day, you came to such a conclusion? Lin Feng said speechlessly. Wu Liang Taoist said, It's already extremely difficult to come to such a conclusion. After hearing Wu Liang Daoist's words, Lin Feng suddenly had the urge to kick this damn Daoist to death. Wu Liang Daoist grinned and said, "Since you can't figure out anything about this scroll for the time being, why don't you leave it with me? I'll help you study it." In your dreams, Lin Feng snatched the scroll back. This damn Daoist was insatiably greedy. If he really left this scroll with him, Lin Feng was sure that this scroll would never return. This was something left behind by his father. Lin Feng naturally wanted to keep it well. Dong, dong. 3 days later, the sound of a huge bell striking the ground resounded once again. Next, a huge ancient bell flew out from the swamp of destiny. It was an immortal bell that was surrounded by endless immortal light. Heavens, it's really the Fate Immortal Bell, the supreme treasure left behind by the Master of Fate. The Fate Immortal Bell actually flew out of Fate Swamp on its own. Many people exclaimed, not daring to believe their eyes. The Fate Immortal Bell patrolled the heavens and earth, quickly crossing through the void and appearing in many places. It even flew over Metal Stone City. Endless immortal pressure. It filled the air. Countless people were shocked, as if an ancient immortal had come into being. Chapter 3594. Grab it. Some cultivators couldn't hold themselves back and directly soared into the sky, wanting to grab the Destiny Immortal Bell. The supreme treasure left behind by the Master of Destiny was simply too extraordinary. If one could control the Destiny Immortal Bell, they would definitely be able to defy the heavens. Hence, countless experts were eyeing this supreme treasure. They wanted to take this treasure for themselves. Now, whether it was the Sacred War Alliance, Immortal Alliance, or Demon Alliance, all of them had sent experts over. In fact, they were all here to snatch the supreme treasure, Destiny Immortal Bell. However, how could it be easy? It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens to obtain this supreme treasure. But now, these forces saw hope, because the Destiny Immortal Bell flew out from the Destiny Swamp. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Numerous cultivators moved as fast as lightning and soon caught up to the Destiny Immortal Bell. Then, those cultivators wanted to suppress the Destiny Immortal Bell. But at this moment, the Destiny Immortal Bell gently vibrated in the void. Buzz. In an instant, a series of ripples shook the void. They quickly spread out in all directions. Those ripples simply had the power to destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth. They were extremely powerful. It was truly shocking. Bang, bang, bang. Next, those cultivators who wanted to grab the Destiny Immortal Bell directly exploded and died on the spot. After seeing this scene, many people couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. The power of the Destiny Immortal Bell was simply too shocking. It actually killed more than 10 experts in an instant. Its power could simply be described as unimaginable. Some of those who wanted to make a move, but those who didn't dare to make a move at this moment didn't dare to do so and stopped. The Destiny Immortal Bell quickly left. You want to suppress the Destiny Immortal Bell? You have to use some powerful magical treasures or some special treasures. Otherwise, there's no way to suppress this supreme treasure, a cultivator said. Many people nodded in agreement. It was indeed as the cultivator said. It wasn't easy to suppress the Destiny Immortal Bell. It required some powerful magical treasures or special methods. Otherwise, only death awaited if one rashly went up. Not long after, the news spread. The upper echelons of the Sacred War Alliance, the Immortal God Alliance, and the Demon Devil Alliance would all appear with great treasures to suppress the Immortal Bell of Destiny. Moreover, it was said that there were also some foreign powers that came with great treasures and would participate in the fight for the Destiny Immortal Bell. An ordinary immortal artifact. Perhaps it wouldn't cause these peak powers to go crazy over it. However, the Fate Immortal Bell was different. This was something left behind by the Lord of Fate. The Master of Destiny was one of the most terrifying existences in this era. If he could obtain the Immortal Bell of Destiny, he might be able to obtain many things left behind by the Master of Destiny. These were priceless treasures. Everyone was waiting for these top forces to make a move. If these top forces did not take action, ordinary cultivators would not dare to take action either. Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang planned to head to the Swamp of Destiny. This was because they felt that the experts of the three alliances and many other forces would arrive very soon. Now was the perfect time to set off. Lin Feng and the boundless Taoist priest decided to enter the Swamp of Destiny at the same time as those strong cultivators. Those experts who entered the Swamp of Destiny would attract the attention of some terrifying existences within the Swamp of Destiny. At this moment, Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang entered the Swamp of Destiny. This was the safest time for them. Along the way, they encountered many cultivators who entered the Forest of Destiny. These cultivators all headed towards the Swamp of Destiny. Many of them were probably just there to join in the fun. Of course, there were also some powerful cultivators who had their own ideas. Perhaps they had the same idea as Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang. When those top forces entered the Swamp of Destiny, they would also enter the Swamp of Destiny together. Damn it! It's you damned Taoist Wu Liang. Not long after entering the Forest of Destiny, some cultivators of the myriad races recognized Taoist Wu Liang. The cultivator was flustered and exasperated as he cursed loudly. Who are you? Does this Taoist know you? Taoist Wu Liang curled his lips and said, Have you already forgotten what happened at the Sky Soul Mountain? That cultivator said viciously. He had dozens of companions, all of whom were filled with killing intent. If looks could kill, they would have already cut Taoist Wu Liang into pieces. So you're from the Sky Soul race. I remember. Taoist Wu Liang nodded. Then, he turned around and ran. As he ran, he shouted loudly, What are you waiting for? Run quickly. Lin Feng turned around and ran into the distance as well. Chase after him. Don't let that damned Taoist Wu Liang escape. The dozens of cultivators of the Sky Soul race could not help but roar. Soon, the news of Taoist Wu Liang's appearance spread. A large number of cultivators began to search for Taoist Wu Liang's whereabouts. How many ancient tombs have you dug up? Lin Feng asked. This was because there were too many cultivators searching for Taoist Wu Liang's whereabouts. All of them were filled with killing intent. It was no wonder that those cultivators were so angry. No matter who it was, when they saw their ancestors' tombs being dug up, they would probably be very angry. Moreover, the sense of belonging to a family in the world of cultivators was extremely strong. Therefore, digging up the tombs of other people's ancestors in the world of cultivation was viewed as an endless hatred. I've only dug up the tombs of 40 to 50 races. It's just that these races are more powerful, and they're all at the royal level. Many forces are subordinate to them, so their rallying power is also stronger. Taoist Wu Liang said. The division of forces among the myriad races was rather complicated, because there were simply too many races. Therefore, it was impossible to divide these forces into specific categories. However, among the countless forces, there were about 300 to 400 royal forces. Dozens of royal forces. These were the top forces among the myriad races. These royal forces and royal forces had extremely strong rallying power among the myriad races. Taoist Wu Liang had dug up the tombs of 40 to 50 royal forces' ancestors. It was obvious how many people he had offended. You didn't dig up the tombs of the royal forces' ancestors? Lin Feng asked. The royal forces are heavily guarded. It's not easy to do anything. I went to the Golden Saint Lion race before, but I was discovered. An emperor powerhouse from the Golden Saint Lion race chased me until I had no way out. How unlucky, Taoist Wu Liang said gloomily. He still had lingering fears when he thought of the scene back then. Chapter 3595. Taoist Wu Liang felt a little regretful, because he felt that if he could dig up the ancient tomb of the Golden Saint Lion race, he might be able to make a fortune. Actually, Lin Feng also wanted to visit some ancient tombs. He hoped to find a large number of immortal pills in those ancient tombs. His experience in Sin Street made Lin Feng understand the importance of immortal pills. Immortal pills were much more precious than immortal stones. Not only could they be used for cultivation, furthermore, immortal pills were the highest level of currency. Other than that, Lin Feng also wanted to find some of the 3,000 great Daos that he had never cultivated before from those ancient tombs. Lin Feng really wanted to gather all 3,000 great Daos as soon as possible. Then, he broke through to the Emperor realm in one go. But Lin Feng knew that some things could not be rushed. He needed to be patient. Becoming an emperor was too important. How his foundation was when he became an emperor would affect what level of cultivator he could become in the future. Therefore, Lin Feng did not want to become an emperor now. He wanted to be like the Red World Fairy, gathering all 3,000 great Daos before breaking through to the Emperor realm in one go. Taoist Wu Liang said, "There's no need to explore the ancient tombs of the myriad races below the royal tombs. It's a waste of time. The ancient tombs above the royal tombs are the imperial tombs, and above that is the three great alliances myriad races cemetery." Lin Feng nodded. His and Taoist Wu Liang's ultimate goal was actually the Sacred War Alliance's myriad races cemetery. The two of them had extraordinary methods, although many people were searching for their whereabouts. However, they were unable to find Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang. On this day, they were resting beside a small stream. In the distance, a group of cultivators flew over. It was a group of young cultivators. However, those cultivators were incomparably powerful. Lin Feng recognized Xin Daoxie. In addition, he also saw Gong Xinye, Huang Yindao, and the others. There were also some cultivators that Lin Feng did not recognize. There were more than 10 people in this group. When they saw Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang, they quickly flew over. "Lin Feng, it's you. You actually came to the heavenly sage great world? You sure have guts." Gong Zini looked at Lin Feng in surprise. Heaven Devil Race's Gong Zhongye was one of the existences that Lin Feng feared the most. This fellow had concealed himself extremely deeply and was extremely sinister. Heavenly Sage Great World? So what? I can come if I want to. Lin Feng said indifferently. This kid is Lin Feng? Xiadao Shun was a little surprised as well. However, a sneer soon appeared on his face. Back on Mount Pantheon, Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang had clashed with Daoxie. Divine Daoxie was incomparably arrogant and naturally did not place Lin Feng and Taoist immeasurable in his eyes. His words were filled with all sorts of contempt and disdain. He even threatened to kill Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist. But because of the appearance of the human face vampire bats, everyone fled, and the two sides did not fight. As for the enmity between Lin Feng and the myriad races, it was needless to say. Thus, when Xie Daoxie learned of Lin Feng's identity, he simply had new and old grudges added together. His murderous intent toward Lin Feng arose. "Damn Taoist, we've been looking for you, but I didn't expect you to be here." Huang Yindao's cold gaze landed on Taoist Wu Liang. Previously, Taoist Wu Liang had almost dug up his ancestor's grave. Huang Yindao naturally did not have a pleasant expression upon seeing Taoist Wu Liang. Taoist Wu Liang said with an unperturbed expression, "What? Do you think a small fry like you can do anything to me?" Small fry? Huang Yindao's mouth twitched violently. A top genius of the myriad races was actually called a small fry by Taoist Wu Liang. Huang Yindao was so angry that his face turned ashen. He looked at Taoist Wu Liang with a murderous gaze. He looked coldly at Taoist Wu Liang and said, "Damn Taoist, I'll cut you into 1,000 pieces later. I'll vent the hatred in my heart." These two fellows have some tricks up their sleeves. Let's kill them together. Gong Zhongye said with a cold expression. He wanted to attack Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang together. Some of the experts among them frowned slightly. They did not want to do so. For example, Taoist Wu Liang wanted to personally kill Lin Feng. In Taoist Wu Liang's eyes, Lin Feng was someone like Taoist Wu Liang. He was not qualified for them to attack together. However, Gong Zhongye did not think so. Lin Feng was afraid of Gong Zhongye because of this. Gong Zhongye was powerful, but he was very sinister. He was not like Taoist Wu Liang, who was high and mighty and thought that he controlled everything. Gong Zhongye did not care about the process. He only cared about the result. This was the difference between Gong Zhongye and the other top geniuses of the myriad races. "I'll blow you bastards to death." Taoist Wu Liang threw out several hundred jade talismans. Boom, boom, boom. The jade talismans exploded one after another. The destructive energy swept through the world. "Not good, retreat." Gong Zhongye, Taoist Wu Liang, and the other cultivators were powerful enough, but they did not dare to face the attack of so many jade talismans. They did not dare to underestimate the power of the jade talismans. They all hurriedly retreated to avoid the terrifying power of the jade talismans. After the shock waves of the energy dissipated, Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang had disappeared without a trace. Damn it! We let them escape. Chase them. The group of people roared in exasperation. They quickly chased into the distance. However, Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang had already disappeared without a trace. After getting rid of Gong Zhongye and the others, Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang arrived in front of the Swamp of Destiny. When they arrived, a large number of cultivators had already gathered. Many people did not rashly enter. They were waiting for the experts of the three alliances and the other top factions to arrive. There were also many cultivators searching for Taoist Wu Liang's whereabouts. Not long after, a piece of news began to spread. Lin Feng of the 9 states. He had arrived at the Heavenly Sage Great World. Lin Feng of the 9 states? This is going to be interesting. When the cultivators of the Immortal Alliance and the Demon Alliance heard this news, they revealed a meaningful expression. Lin Feng. They naturally heard of him. It was said that during the Battle of the 9 States, the reason why the Sacred War Alliance suffered such a heavy loss was closely related to this Lin Feng. In the eyes of many people, Lin Feng might just be a young cultivator. He was not taken seriously by those top experts. However, Lin Feng was the link between the various forces of the 9 states and the many experts. If there was no Lin Feng, the cultivators of the 9 states would not be united, and the 9 states would have already fallen. There would not even be a final peak battle. Therefore, the cultivators of the Sacred War Alliance hated Lin Feng to the core. They wished they could cut Lin Feng into pieces. Is this news true? Lin Feng actually dared to come to the Heavenly Sage Great World? That's impossible, right? Many cultivators were trying to find out the truth of this matter. The Heavenly Sage Great World was the home of the myriad races. Lin Feng actually came to the home of the myriad races. Chapter 3596. More and more cultivators began to inquire about Lin Feng's whereabouts. The cultivators from the Immortal God Alliance and the Demon Alliance all had the mentality of watching a show. So the cultivators who inquired about Lin Feng's whereabouts were basically all cultivators from the Sacred War Alliance. They anxiously wanted to confirm if Lin Feng had really come here. If it was true, they had to capture Lin Feng alive. Because the cultivators from the Sacred War Alliance felt that directly killing Lin Feng would be letting Lin Feng off easy. After capturing Lin Feng, ruthlessly torturing Lin Feng to the point where he would rather die. Only then would the cultivators from the Sacred War Alliance feel a bit better. Gong Xinye, Shen Daoxia and the others appeared and told everyone that they had seen Lin Feng with their own eyes. They could clearly tell everyone that Lin Feng had indeed come to the Heavenly Sage Great World, and he was in the Forest of Destiny. It was very likely that he had come for the orthodoxy of the Master of Destiny. With Gong Xinye and the others confirming that Lin Feng had come here, this matter immediately caused a commotion. Because now everyone could confirm that Lin Feng had really come to the Heavenly Sage Great World. He had come to the Forest of Destiny. Gong Xinye said, "That wicked Taoist is with that kid." This was a major piece of news. In the past few years, many major events had happened in the Heavenly Sage Great World. One of the major events was the theft of dozens of royal tombs from the Sacred War Alliance. When this happened, it caused a great shock. All the major forces in the world of cultivators were extremely respectful to their ancestors. In order to protect their family's honor, many people were even willing to give up their lives. So, the tombs of their ancestors had been dug up. This was something that none of the major forces could accept. In their eyes, this was the greatest insult to their ancestors. Their ancestors. They would definitely die with everlasting regret. And the culprit behind this was the Immeasurable Taoist. The Immeasurable Taoist had long been listed on the Sacred War Alliance's must-kill list. And the most shocking thing was the two cultivators that the Sacred War Alliance hated the most. They actually knew each other. Search. We must find these two people. Even if we have to dig 3 feet into the ground, we must find them. That's right. Once we catch them, we will tear them to shreds. All the cultivators of the Holy War Alliance were filled with killing intent. A large number of cultivators scattered. Then, he began to search for the whereabouts of Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist, hoping to find them. However, they did not gain anything. Many people suspected that Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang had already left this place. Or else, how could he not find any trace of them? Lin Feng, get the hell out here and fight me to the death. I will take your life within 3 moves. Evil God said with an indifferent expression. He was openly provoking Lin Feng, hoping to draw Lin Feng out. His provocation didn't work. Lin Feng didn't come out. What a coward. Trash, like you don't even have the qualifications to be my opponent. Evil Divine Path said with a lofty attitude. He was full of contempt and disdain for Lin Feng. This person had always looked down on Lin Feng and had never regarded Lin Feng as his opponent. In the future, if you see me, stay far away. Or else, I will definitely trample you under my feet. Evil God continued to sneer. Which one of the supreme prodigies is afraid of a battle? After being humiliated and provoked like this, they would have already come out for a life and death battle. This Lin Feng is actually so scared that he doesn't dare to come out. I think many of the rumors about him in the outside world are exaggerated. That's right. He doesn't even come out after being provoked like this. This Lin Feng is only a... Many cultivators couldn't help but discuss. They were full of contempt for Lin Feng. They continued to search for the whereabouts of Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang, but there were still no clues. Until the experts of the 3 great alliances arrived. Only then did these people quiet down. The experts of the 3 great alliances were all led by Holy Emperor-level experts. The Holy Emperor-level expert of the Holy War Alliance was called Holy Dao Fa. This person was a Holy Emperor-level expert of the Holy God Clan. Ever since the Holy God Clan's Emperor-level ancestor fell, the Holy God Clan's deterrence to the other clans was far less than before. But even so, the Holy God Clan's foundation was still there, and 2 Holy Emperor-level experts of the Holy God Clan were about to break through to the Emperor level. Once they succeeded, the Holy God Clan would recover their former glory. Other than Holy Dao Fa, there were also 5 great experts who arrived together. The 5 great experts were the 5 emperors of the Ancient God Clan, the Heavenly Devil Clan, the Golden Saint Lion Clan, the Kinwu people, and the Skeleton Clan. Their cultivations were also unfathomable. 5 emperors. The arrival of a holy emperor caused a huge sensation. The experts of the Immortal God Alliance also arrived. The Immortal God Alliance also sent a holy emperor and 5 emperors. The holy emperor of the Immortal God Alliance was a famous rogue cultivator. He was called Elder Xinghai. This Elder Xinghai, originally, he was an expert from a very small clan of the myriad clans. However, before Elder Xinghai grew up, his race had already been annihilated. Later on, Elder Xinghai became stronger. Thus, he made a move to destroy the power that had destroyed his family. Later on, Elder Xinghai was invited to join the Immortal God Alliance. Now, Elder Xinghai was one of the top figures in the Immortal God Alliance. 5 experts from the Alliance of Demons and Demons came. 1 Holy Emperor, 3 Emperors, and a very young cultivator. No one knew where he came from. The Holy Emperor-level expert from the Demon Alliance was an expert from the Blood Peacock clan. This person was called the Blood Slaughter Demon King. His cultivation was unfathomable. He had already stepped into the Holy Emperor level very early on. It was said that he had a chance of breaking through to the Emperor level. Other than these 3 great forces, the experts of the God-Eating Demon clan also arrived. There was also a Holy Emperor-level expert overseeing them. The other force was Tai Dao Supremacy and the others who were with Ziyuan. These people's cultivation was incomparably terrifying. Other than Tai Dao Supremacy, Yuan-Tian Supremacy was also there. These were the top forces of the 5 great forces. Previously, the Destiny Immortal Bell was patrolling outside. Then it flew back into the Destiny Swamp. There hasn't been any movement for some time. Now that these experts have come together, I wonder if they'll be able to obtain the Destiny Immortal Bell? Maybe someone will be able to obtain the Destiny Immortal Bell, but they'll definitely have to go through a bloody battle. Moreover, The things left behind by the Destiny Master will ultimately fall into the hands of those people. The three great alliances are very strong, but the God-eating demon clan and those black-robed cultivators are also extremely terrifying existences. Therefore, it's hard to say who will have the last laugh. The surrounding cultivators discussed animatedly. At this moment, Chapter 3597. After the experts of the five forces entered the swamp of destiny, many forces entered the swamp of death one after another. These people felt that even though the swamp of death was incomparably dangerous, however, after the experts of the five forces attracted most of the attention, their pressure would be much less. This was the thought in many people's hearts. Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang also entered the swamp of destiny. Lin Feng also heard of the provocation from the divine path evil, but Lin Feng did not appear. These people from the myriad races were sinister and cunning. If the divine path evil really lured him out, would he have a life and death battle with him? Lin Feng didn't think so. At that time, there would definitely be an inescapable net waiting for him. Once he fell into the trap, only death would await him. Although Lin Feng was incomparably confident in himself, confidence did not equate to arrogance. Lin Feng was very clear about what should be done and what should not be done. The figures of cultivators could be seen everywhere in the swamp of destiny. Below was the swamp, and there was almost no place to stand. Everyone had no choice but to fly. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Not long after entering the swamp of destiny, a gust of wind blew from the depths, and in the gust of wind, it was filled with a light brown gas. That gas was unknown, but it seemed to contain a highly toxic gas. Not good. It's the marsh gas of the swamp of destiny. Hurry up and leave. Don't inhale the marsh gas. Otherwise, you will definitely be poisoned. Immediately, some cultivators cried out in alarm. The marsh gas of the swamp of destiny contained a terrifying poison. Once it was inhaled into the lungs, the cultivator would be poisoned. Many cultivators hurriedly flew into the distance. But there were still many cultivators who were unable to avoid the marsh gas that was quickly sweeping over. Those cultivators who were swept into the marsh gas were directly drowned by the marsh gas. Miserable screams rang out one after another. Those cultivators who were swept into the marsh gas were all poisoned. Their bodies were festering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not long after, their bodies rotted into a pile of meat paste, leaving only their skeletons. Their skeletons fell into the swamp and were swallowed by the swamp. What a terrifying marsh gas. We've just entered the swamp of destiny, and so many people have already died. Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. Earlier, one cultivator after another was devoured by the marsh gas. It was an extremely terrifying sight, one that sent chills down their spines. Taoist Wu Liang said, "How could the death impasse be simple? Just get used to it." A place where opportunity and danger coexist, Lin Feng said. He and Taoist Wu Liang carefully made their way into the depths. The others also had lingering fears as they hurried towards the depths of the Fate Swamp. Fate Swamp was shrouded in fog all year round, and even the sky was gray. From time to time, some terrifying creatures would rush out of the swamp of destiny to hunt. Many cultivators who flew over the swamp of fate were devoured by the ferocious beasts that rushed out from the swamp of fate. Then, they became food for those ferocious beasts. The current situation was extremely dangerous. The slightest carelessness could lead to death. Therefore, many people were extremely cautious. Ha 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 ha. Suddenly, a pleasant voice came from the depths. Everyone was alarmed. It's a woman's voice. Someone said, "There seems to be a lot of women inside." Someone else said, "It was the laughter of many women." Their voices were simply too pleasant to listen to. It was like the heavenly music played by fairies from the 9 heavens. After hearing their laughter, many people felt as if their bodies had become limp. It was hard to imagine how beautiful the voices of the women were to be able to mesmerize all living beings. Those women must be devastatingly beautiful, right? Let's go. Let's go into the depths and see what's going on. A cultivator said as he eagerly headed towards the depths. He wanted to see the specific situation in the depths. One cultivator after another flew into the depths. Not long after, everyone saw a mountain peak. On the peak of the mountain, there were many beautiful palaces. Within the palaces, beautiful fairies shuttled back and forth. When they saw a large number of cultivators arriving, those fairies walked out of the palaces. They stood at the entrance of the palaces, half undressed, and were filled with endless temptation. Master, I really like mature men like you. Come here quickly. I can't wait to throw myself into your arms. Master, come, let me serve you well. This little brother looks very familiar. Little brother, do you think this servant looks familiar? Come quickly. I really want to whisper something to you face to face. The voices of those fairies were extremely charming. Many people had completely lost themselves. All that was left in his eyes were the fairies with unparalleled beauty. They rushed towards the fairies. They wanted to have fun with those beautiful fairies. Even Lin Feng and Taoist Wuliang were mesmerized. Their bodies uncontrollably walked towards the fairies who were seducing them. However, Lin Feng felt that something was wrong. At the critical moment, his strong willpower worked. While Lin Feng was mesmerized, he still used his strong willpower to forcefully circulate the archaic dragonesque elephant art. When the archaic dragonesque elephant art was activated, Lin Feng's mind regained clarity. The palaces on the mountain peak disappeared. What appeared before his eyes was a series of eerie caves. In the forest, large amounts of bones were piled up. Those beautiful fairies disappeared one by one. What appeared in his line of sight were many terrifying and ferocious monsters. Those monsters had short bodies and huge heads. When they opened their bloody mouths, they could swallow a cultivator in one gulp. Their bodies were pitch black in color, but a strange pink energy was emitted from their bodies. Those terrifying existences, they were the legendary mountain demons. It was an extremely terrifying creature. There were records of the mountain demons in the Mountain Sea scripture. The mountain demons controlled the power of illusions and could create many illusions to confuse living beings. Anyone who was confused by the mountain demons would be swallowed by the mountain demons. The meaning of this sentence was that the mountain demons controlled the power of illusions and could create all kinds of illusions to confuse cultivators of various races. Once they were confused by the mountain demons, they would be unable to extricate themselves, and their final fate would be to be eaten by the mountain demons. Lin Feng had read the Mountain Sea scripture before, so he had seen the introduction of the mountain demons. However, before this, he had never seen a mountain demon. He never thought that he would see such a terrifying creature today. Those cultivators who were confused by the mountain demons still did not know the danger they were in. They quickly flew towards the mountain demons and arrived beside them. Chapter 3598. Damn Taoist! Wake up! Lin Feng threw himself at the Taoist priest and slapped him with his hand. Who hit me? Who hit me? Which bastard hit me? Taoist Wu Liang yelled in dissatisfaction. Lin Feng said angrily, It's me. You still have the nerve to call yourself a monk? Your six senses aren't clean at all. Otherwise, how could you have been bewitched by these mountain demons? Mountain demons? What mountain demons? Aren't they a bunch of beauties? Taoist Wu Liang couldn't help but mutter. Then, he looked into the depths of the cave. Taoist Wu Liang saw numerous ugly mountain demons standing at the eerie entrance of the cave. They were calling for the cultivators who had arrived. A large number of cultivators rushed over and were eaten by the mountain demons. Heavenly Lord Wu Liang, are these the legendary mountain demons? They're too ugly. Taoist Wu Liang wailed. Thinking about how he had been bewitched by such ugly things, Taoist Wu Liang started retching. Screech. More than 10 mountain demons let out ear-piercing screeches and charged toward Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang. The mountain demons' auras were extremely terrifying. Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang couldn't help but be shocked. Hurry up and run. Taoist Wu Liang turned and ran. He had no intention of fighting the mountain demons. Damn Taoist Wu Liang was a very calculative person. If there were no benefits, under normal circumstances, there was no way he would do that. Unless there were benefits. That was why Taoist Wu Liang chose to attack. These mountain demons were so powerful. Even if he killed them, there would be no benefits. Naturally, Taoist Wu Liang wouldn't choose to stay and fight the mountain demons before leaving. "Wait for me," Lin Feng said and quickly chased after Taoist Wu Liang. More and more cultivators woke up from the mountain demons' illusion. When they saw the mountain demons, they were shocked. Screech. When those mountain devils saw the awakened cultivators, they would immediately pounce out and kill those cultivators. A huge battle erupted. The cultivators who were still in the illusion were alarmed. He panicked and attacked to block the mountain demons' attack. Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang did not successfully leave. More than 10 mountain devils chased after them. Slash. Lin Feng used the weapon mantra to control the 3 stone swords. 3 stone swords. Emitting powerful waves of energy, they slashed at the mountain demons one by one. Clang, clang, clang. When the 3 stone swords slashed the mountain demon's body, there was a clanging sound. Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked. This was simply too shocking. The bodies of these mountain demons were actually this strong? As expected of a legendary dire beast. The mountain demon is invulnerable to swords and spears. It's not advisable to fight the mountain demon head-on, Immeasurable Taoist said. He immediately used the magic bean soldier's technique. More than 10 beans were thrown out and instantly transformed into more than 10 golden-armored warriors. The golden-armored warriors charged forward and engaged in a fierce battle with the mountain demons. The immeasurable Taoist had too many miraculous methods. Lin Feng was already used to it. Hence, Lin Feng wouldn't be shocked no matter what the immeasurable Taoist used. Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist quickly left the battlefield. More and more cultivators came out of the battlefield. However, even more cultivators died under the attacks of the mountain demons. In the end, they became food for the mountain demons. That was really close. Many people revealed expressions of lingering fear. "Oh my God, that is," a cultivator in front exclaimed. The cultivators who rushed out of the mountain demons area all rushed forward. Then, they saw stalks of immortal herbs. There were probably hundreds of them. The immortal herbs grew in a valley in front of them. Who had ever seen so many immortal grasses and herbs? Even Lin Feng hadn't seen them before. Like the others, he revealed a dumbfounded expression. Illusion. It must be an illusion. The cultivators who came here didn't dare to rashly charge forward because the mountain demons had created an illusion and killed so many cultivators. Now, everyone still had lingering fears. They were afraid that this was also an illusion. If that was really the case, it would be too terrifying. Whoosh, whoosh, however. At this moment, 2 cultivators took the lead and rushed out. These 2 people were Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist. They entered the valley and wantonly collected the immortal herbs. It's not an illusion. Those are real immortal herbs. After seeing this scene, many people cried out in alarm. Then, they quickly rushed into the valley. By the time they arrived at the valley, when they arrived, 70 to 80% of the immortal herbs had been collected by Lin Feng and the immeasurable Taoist. Lin Feng collected about 100 stalks of immortal herbs and about 130 stalks of immortal herbs. The rest of the cultivators took the rest of the immortal herbs. Can the 2 of them swallow so many immortal herbs and immortal medicines? Take them out. Don't force us to attack. A silver wing race cultivator said with a cold smile. The silver wing race was the royal race of the myriad races. They were also the first race that Lin Feng came into contact with. However, the silver wing race only sent 2 immortal emperors to the 9 prefectures. Therefore, the top powerhouses of the silver wing race did not die in the 9 prefectures. The current silver wing race was still very powerful. They had a venerable emperor as their leader. Scram. Lin Feng said coldly. He was extremely domineering. Even though he was surrounded, he was still fearless. "You're courting death." The silver wing race cultivator was furious. He spread his wings and flapped them gently in the void. Then, he quickly charged toward Lin Feng. He held a blood-colored spear in his hand. Across the void, he pierced it toward Lin Feng's chest. Swoosh! A cold light flashed. 3 stone swords flew out. The 3 stone swords sliced through the void. They directly charged toward the silver wing race cultivator. The silver wing race cultivator waved his blood-colored spear and swept it toward Lin Feng's stone swords. His blood-colored spear could not block the power of Lin Feng's stone swords. A cracking sound could be heard. The blood-colored spear shattered. Pooh, pooh, pooh. Next, the 3 stone swords directly pierced through the Silver Wing Race cultivator's body. The Silver Wing Race cultivator had fallen. Seeing this scene, everyone could not help but be shocked. No one had expected that the Silver Wing Race cultivator would be killed just like that. This Silver Wing Race cultivator was extremely terrifying. Lin Feng, he is Lin Feng, a cultivator suddenly said. He had recognized Lin Feng's identity. What? He is Lin Feng? That Lin Feng from the 9 provinces? Next, many people exclaimed. That's right. It's him. I once saw him from afar in the 9 provinces. Wasn't it rumored that Lin Feng was together with Taoist Wu Liang? Look at that fellow beside him. Isn't he a Taoist? That person must be Lin Feng, that cultivator said. After knowing that the cultivator in the valley was Lin Feng, many cultivators had uncertain expressions. They were hesitating whether or not they should besiege Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang. Swoosh. Chapter 3599. Xin Dao Xie, Gong Zhongye, Huang Yindao, and a group of more than 10 people quickly flew over. These people saw Lin Feng and immeasurable Taoist and surrounded them. What bad luck. I actually met these people again. Immeasurable Taoist said gloomily. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. His luck was indeed not too good. He actually met these people again. The cultivation of this group of people was extremely terrifying. A few of them should be at the Supreme Heavens Pride level. They were not Supreme Heavens Pride level cultivators. They were also the top Heavens Pride level cultivators of the myriad races and were extremely powerful. Especially after the great changes in the world these past few years, these people's cultivation could be described as advancing by leaps and bounds. These two are our prey. All of you, back off quickly, a Heavens Pride level cultivator said. When the others saw Gong Zhongye, Xin Dao Xie, and the others, they knew how powerful these people were. So they didn't dare to say anything. They all retreated and stood in the distance to watch the battle. Previously, Xin Dao Xie had provoked Lin Feng. He used provocation. He hoped to provoke Lin Feng out. However, at that time, Lin Feng did not appear. Now, the two sides finally met. Have you thought about how to die? Xin Dao Xie looked at Lin Feng indifferently. Damn Taoist. I will let you taste endless pain before you die. Huang Yindao looked at immeasurable Taoist with an indifferent expression. Lin Feng and immeasurable Taoist's expressions were indifferent. Last time, immeasurable Taoist took out hundreds of jade talismans. Those exploding jade talismans delayed this group of people, allowing them to escape. But obviously, this time, it wouldn't be easy to use the same method to escape. These people, they wouldn't let Lin Feng and immeasurable Taoist leave so easily. Lin Feng glanced at Xin Dao Xie indifferently, and then said, I've thought about how to die, but I've thought about how to die for you. Brat, are you provoking this young master's dignity? Get out now. This young master can kill you in 3 moves. Xin Dao Xie's voice was cold as he looked at Lin Feng coldly, as if he was looking at an ant. Xin Dao Xie's contempt for Lin Feng came from his bones. It's very simple to kill this kid. Let's join forces and make sure he has no chance to escape. Gong Zhongye said. Among these people, the one who interacted with Lin Feng the most. Gong Zhongye was one of the people who watched him grow up step by step. Gong Zhongye knew how talented Lin Feng was and how strong he was. He definitely couldn't underestimate Lin. Any cultivator who underestimated Lin Feng didn't have a good ending. Zhongye was clear. Killing Lin Feng was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. So, Gong Zhongye wanted everybody to fight against Lin Feng. But Gong Zhongye knew that it would be extremely difficult to kill Lin Feng. These people had. Yi Xie Zhongye. It was very difficult to get them to join forces. Last time, these people wanted to give him face and join forces to kill Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang. Who would have thought that Taoist Wu Liang's jade talisman would force them to retreat? He missed a great opportunity to kill Lin Feng. At that time, Gong Zhongye had felt extremely regretful. This time, his chance had come. Gong Zhongye hoped to kill Lin Feng. I alone am enough. Shen Daoxia said indifferently. He was extremely confident in his own strength. Brother Shen, don't underestimate Lin Feng. He has many tricks up his sleeve. Young Master Nya opened his mouth, wanting to persuade him, but before he could finish, Evil God interrupted him. Brother Nya, aren't you being too cautious? Don't you have confidence in my strength? Divine Daoxia's voice couldn't help but turn cold. He wanted to deal with Lin Feng alone, but Gongzong Nya wanted everyone to join forces. This caused Shen Daoxia to be unhappy. Shen Daoxia felt that Gongzong Nya was being superfluous. If Shen Daoxia wanted to give him face, he wouldn't have continued to say such things. Another genius couldn't help but speak up. Brother Nya, given our status and strength, do we need to join forces to deal with someone? Since Brother Shen wants to fight personally, I think we should let Brother Shen do it himself. For Brother Shen, dealing with this kid is as easy as blowing off dust. That's right. Brother Shen's strength ranks at the top among the geniuses of the myriad races. There aren't many geniuses who can compete with Brother Shen. Isn't dealing with a mere human cultivator a piece of cake for Brother Shen? If news of us fighting together spreads, it'll damage our reputation. Another Sky Pride said. Last time, they had agreed to help Gongzong Nya deal with Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang because they didn't want to lose face. That was why they had agreed. But this time, Shen Daoxia was the first to express his dissatisfaction. The others also voiced their thoughts. Seeing that everyone was so insistent, Gongzong Nya nodded and said, I'm naturally very confident in Brother Shen's strength. Since Brother Shen wants to kill Lin Feng yourself, then let Brother Shen do it. All right. Shen Daoxia responded, then looked at Lin Feng with an indifferent expression. He sneered and said, Kid, your time of death has come. Take a good breath of the fresh air here. Because after you die, you won't be able to breathe this fresh air anymore. Lin Feng curled his lips and said, You should be saying this to yourself. While you're still alive, take a good breath of fresh air and look at this beautiful landscape. After you die and go to hell, you'll know how different hell is from the world of the living. Reckless fool, I'm coming to take your dog life now. Shen Daoxia walked step by step towards Lin Feng. A terrifying wave of energy surged out from Shen Daoxia's body. Then, a destructive force surged out from Shen Daoxia's body. All of that power condensed on Shen Daoxia's fist. Divine Fist of Destruction. Shen Daoxia shouted coldly. He condensed a powerful divine ability. After Shen Daoxia used this divine ability, a projection of the God of Destruction appeared behind him. This God of Destruction was as ancient and powerful as the titled gods of the primordial era. The God of Destruction took a step forward. The God of Destruction and Shen Daoxia's bodies fused together perfectly. When the God of Destruction and Shen Daoxia merged, Shen Daoxia's aura began to increase substantially, becoming many times stronger than before. Boom! Shen Daoxia attacked, punching at Lin Feng. Chapter 3600. Evil God's arrogance came from deep within his bones. It was a kind of arrogance that made him look down on everyone else from above. He wanted to suppress Lin Feng with his aura. He wanted to crush Lin Feng's confidence. However, Lin Feng looked at Evil God with an indifferent expression and sneered. Evil God, you think too highly of yourself. You'll know how it feels to be slapped in the face later. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng attacked. Facing Evil God's attack, Lin Feng used the Black Tortoise Hunchback Tablet inscription. A black tortoise sacred beast appeared in the void. The black tortoise sacred beast carried the tablet and swam through the endless river of time. The Black Tortoise Hunchback Tablet. Suppressing the world. The Black Tortoise Hunchback Tablet came and shook slightly. The starry sky of 100,000 miles seemed to be about to collapse. Lin Feng's Black Tortoise Hunchback Tablet inscription was a terrifying sacred ability that surpassed Emperor techniques. Its power was so strong that it was shocking. Now that Lin Feng used it, it immediately displayed an extremely strong power. Bang! Along with the sound of a violent collision, Lin Feng and Evil God clashed. With the two of them as the center, the void around them began to crack. Everyone's face was filled with disbelief. Evil God was a supreme sky pride of the 10,000 races. Among the 10,000 races, There weren't many Sky Prides who could fight against Evil God. Lin Feng had easily neutralized Xin Daoxie's attack. Xin Daoxie's attack was easily neutralized by Lin Feng. It was truly shocking. Lin Feng's lifespan was only about 100 years. He was 4 or 5 years younger than Evil God. Yet, he was able to fight Evil God to a standstill. Whose potential was greater could be determined by the battle between the two of them. Thank goodness we didn't make a move back then. If we did, we'd be dead like that silver wing cultivator. Yeah, thank goodness Evil God, Gong Zhongye, and the others came. Otherwise, we'd be in danger today. The spectating cultivators couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Is this your strength? He had bragged so much about himself, but when it came to a real fight, his cultivation was only this weak? You have the nerve to brag about yourself with this little bit of cultivation. Your Excellency's thick skin is truly admirable. Lin Feng couldn't help but mock. He even cupped his fists toward Shindaxi. Ha ha ha, well said. Taoist Wu Liang burst into laughter. Lin Feng's eloquence was quite impressive. His ability to insult others was not something that could be matched by ordinary people. When Evil God heard Lin Feng's mocking words, his expression turned extremely gloomy. You're courting death. Shindaxi shouted coldly and charged at Lin Feng again. Myriad Tao's divine slaughter. Xie Dao Shin attacked again, this time condensing an even more terrifying divine ability. A dense crowd of figures appeared behind Xin Daowei. Every single one of them exuded a terrifying aura. Those existences, all of them were ancient gods. With so many gods appearing at once, the power of this divine ability was truly terrifying. Boom! An earth-shattering attack was unleashed, erupting with unimaginable power. Terrifying ripples swept across the world. It was as if they could destroy heaven and earth. This sacred art known as the Myriad Tao's divine killing was indeed too powerful. It erupted with a shocking and powerful attack power. Anyone who sensed the power of this divine ability would be deeply shocked. A thought blossoms. Sovereign's descent. Lin Feng attacked indifferently. He was fearless in the face of Shun Doxi's attack. Lin Feng unleashed this demon lord divine ability. An aura of a sovereign's descent emanated from Lin Feng's body. At that moment, Lin Feng seemed to have turned into the supreme ruler of heaven and earth. Kill! A low roar suddenly rang out, bringing with it endless coldness and dense killing intent. Xin Doxi was surrounded by endless divine light. It was as if he had become an eternal sun. Lin Feng was enveloped in demonic energy, as if the lord of the demonic realm had descended upon the world. Bang! Accompanied by a violent collision that could shake the earth and mountains, Lin Feng and Xin Doxi clashed once again. Lin Feng's thought blossoms. Sovereign's descent was an ancient divine ability. It was invincible. However, it was actually unable to defeat Xin Doxi. Xin Doxi was indeed powerful, and the Myriad Tao's divine slaughter he used was also powerful enough to block Lin Feng's thought blossoms, Sovereign's descent attack. These two should be about the same battle strength. Yeah, it seems like neither of them can do anything to the other. This Lin Feng is truly a huge threat. You have to know that when the myriad races invaded the 9 provinces, his cultivation was still very weak. How long has it been since he became so terrifying? If he's given time, he'll definitely become a huge threat. That's right, this isn't an exaggeration. If he's allowed to grow, will the myriad races of the Sacred War Alliance still have good days ahead? The cultivators who were watching the show discussed animatedly. The cultivators from the Sacred War Alliance naturally hoped to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to kill Lin Feng. On the other hand, the cultivators from the Immortal God Alliance and the Demon Devil Alliance hoped that Lin Feng could grow. As the saying goes, the enemy of an enemy is a friend. Lin Feng was a huge threat to the Sacred War Alliance. In that case, the Immortal God Alliance and the Demon Devil Alliance could rope in Lin Feng. They could deal with the Sacred War Alliance together. It's already been 2 moves, and I'm just warming up. Didn't you say you'll kill me in 3 moves? It seems like you don't have the ability. Since you don't have the ability, don't make such a solemn vow, because it'll slap your face. Do you feel the burning pain on your face right now? Does it feel good to be slapped in the face? Lin Feng looked at Shindoxi and immediately mocked. Killing people and destroying their hearts was one of Lin Feng's favorite methods. This wasn't just a skill with words. The key was that it could directly hit people's hearts. It could make people lose their minds. Once a cultivator lost their cool, their battle strength would drop by 30%. Kid, don't be too happy too early. There's still one more move. The third move, I'll take your life. Shindoxi looked coldly at Lin Feng. Next, bloody light surged out of Shindoxi's body. The bloody light enveloped Shindoxi within it. The surrounding cultivators couldn't see the scene within the bloody light clearly. However, everyone could hear the thumping sounds coming from the ground. Those sounds were very strange, and many people felt an intense pain in their hearts. Hurry and retreat. Many cultivators' faces turned pale with fright, and they had no choice but to retreat quickly. They were worried that if they didn't retreat, they would die. Roar. Within the bloody light, Shindoxi let out a beast-like roar, and then the bloody light receded. Shindoxi reappeared in everyone's sight. At this moment, Shindoxi's entire body was covered in dense scales. Chapter 36:01. Divine Tao Wretch suddenly transformed into a three-headed, six-armed being. Lin Feng guessed that Divine Tao Wretch had undergone atavism. As a descendant of the ancient divine race, Divine Tao Wretch's ancestor was a god from the era of titled gods. As time passed, the ancient divine race's body slowly transformed into that of a human. They grew closer and closer to that of a human. The main reason for this was that the bloodline of these ancient god clan cultivators was not strong enough to support their bodies to have 3 heads and 6 arms. Now, cultivators who could atavism were exceedingly rare in the ancient divine race. They were as rare as phoenix feathers and qilin horns. So what if you've turned into a 3-headed, 6-armed being? You're still no match for me, even if you have 9 heads and 18 arms. Lin Feng still looked at Divine Tao Wretch with disdain after his transformation. Divine Tao Wretch's expression darkened. He thought that he could easily kill Lin Feng. But in reality, Lin Feng had neutralized 2 of his moves in a row, which was a huge blow to his reputation. Add to that Lin Feng's disdain for Divine Tao Wretch. Divine Tao Wretch was driven to madness. Shindoxia was furious. He just wanted to kill Lin Feng to vent his anger. Boom! Divine Tao Wretch's body exuded a wave of destructive energy. Roar! A high-pitched dragon roar echoed through the world. 9 divine dragons flew out of Divine Tao Wretch's body. Each of them was a dragon. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws. The 9 divine dragons circled around Divine Tao Wretch. This combat art was called the Divine 9 Dragons art, and it was an extremely powerful combat art. Most importantly, when he used the 9 dragons divine art, his bloodline could form a special resonance with the 9 dragons divine art. This resonance could raise Divine Tao Wretch's battle strength to the pinnacle. Boom! Terrifying crimson light surged out of Divine Tao Wretch's body. The bloodline of the ancient god of the divine way evil and the 9-headed divine dragon indeed formed a very special resonance. Between heaven and earth, there was a faint sound of the Tao. The cries of the Tao resounded through the clouds and shook the world. The 9 divine dragons roared and pounced on Lin Feng. What a terrifying combat art! Divine Tao Wretch's combat art resonated with his bloodline. As expected of a supreme genius of the myriad races, he's too strong. Many people couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. The Divine Tao Xia's bloodline resonated with the Divine Tao's divine ability, and its attack was indeed powerful. Divine Tao Wretch's power deeply shocked all those present. Tao Wretch's Divine Tao Wretch's bloodline? Divine Tao Wretch's Divine Tao Wretch's Divine Tao Wretch's attacks. The surrounding cultivators whispered to each other. However, while these people were discussing, their eyes were still fixed on the 2 people fighting. He didn't dare to look away. He was afraid that he would miss this peak battle. It's just a small trick. Wretches. Divine, wretch. There was an indescribable sense of arrogance in his words. Divine Tao Wretch's attack was incomparably terrifying. It was no trifling skill. Lin Feng sure is arrogant. He's actually looking down on Divine Tao Wretch's attack. I wonder if he really has a way to neutralize Divine Tao Wretch's attack, or if he's just saying those words to piss Divine Tao Wretch off. I don't know. He's probably just saying those words to piss Divine Tao Wretch off, right? We'll find out soon enough if he's really that capable. If he doesn't have that ability and only has that mouth of his, he'll be dead for sure. The spectators discussed among themselves again. Divine Tao Wretch's eyes were cold. Lin Feng's attitude of having everything under his control infuriated Divine Tao Wretch. It had never been so angry before. But now, Divine Tao Wretch's fury burned the heavens. At this moment, Lin Feng began to condense his combat art. In midair, he began to chant an incantation. O mighty god of space, I have inherited your legacy and grasped the power of space. I will make the mighty Tao of space shine once more in the world. Lin Feng chanted an incantation in an extremely ancient language. After Lin Feng finished his incantation, he waved his hand. The 9 divine dragons pouncing at him were instantly imprisoned in midair by an invisible force. They couldn't take another step forward. This was the use of the Tao of space. The Tao of space. It could imprison all living beings. This Tao was absolutely heaven-defying. It was a great Tao that could shock anyone. Whoosh! Lin Feng leaped out and shot toward Divine Tao Wretch as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, he arrived beside Divine Tao Wretch. Then, he threw a punch at Divine Tao Wretch. Close combat was one of Lin Feng's favorite methods of combat. Go to hell, kid. When Divine Tao Wretch saw Lin Feng charging toward him, his eyes shot out a chilling murderous intent. The ancient god clan had strong physical bodies. Close combat was also one of the favorite methods of combat for the ancient god clan. Now that Divine Tao Wretch had returned to his ancestral state, he had evolved 3 heads and 6 arms. His physical body had also been raised to the pinnacle level. Therefore, Divine Tao Wretch was extremely confident in himself. Divine Tao Wretch's 6 arms all moved. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The 6 arms attacked as fast as lightning with shocking momentum. He threw out one punch after another. The sky was filled with fist shadows. This was because Divine Tao Wretch's punches were too fast, so there were so many fist shadows. Some cultivators, if their physical bodies were strong enough, they could break all techniques with brute force. It didn't matter if you had thousands of Divine Tao Wretch or thousands of techniques. They could break it with one punch. Such a situation. Too many to mention. Lin Feng sneered and unleashed his dragon elephant arms 6 times. He threw a punch. It actually formed a powerful fist aura. Before Divine Tao Wretch collided with Lin Feng, he was already pushed back by Lin Feng's fist aura. How is this possible? When they saw this scene, almost everyone showed a look of disbelief. Divine Tao Wretch was such a powerful existence, and he had returned to his ancestral state, but he still couldn't block Lin Feng's fist aura. This was too inconceivable. Lin Feng's powerful punch came straight at him. Divine Tao Wretch was horrified. He raised his fist to block. Cracking sounds were heard, and Divine Tao Wretch's 6 arms were all broken. Divine Tao Wretch took Lin Feng's punch and was sent flying. Whoa! In the air, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Good chance. Chapter 3602. Not good. This brat's physical body is too powerful. Even Divine Tao Evil isn't his match. Hurry up and finish him off. Gong Xingye couldn't help but shout, quickly pouncing towards Lin Feng. The rest of the people also attacked. Now they finally knew why Gong Xingye had been advocating to besiege Lin Feng. Because Lin Feng was indeed too terrifying. Divine Tao Evil didn't lose to Divine Tao Evil. Physical body competition. It was to crush the Divine Tao and Evil Tao. If that was the case, his overall combat strength could even suppress Divine Tao Evil. Even among the younger generation of the myriad races, to find a young cultivator who could kill Lin Feng, it wouldn't be easy. Searching through the myriad races, perhaps they could find a cultivator who could kill Lin Feng, but there definitely wouldn't be too many. After Divine Tao Evil was sent flying, his physical body was directly beaten back to its original form by Lin Feng. Now, Divine Tao Evil was simply mad with hatred. In his life, Divine Tao Evil had never been defeated. Now, he was actually beaten to the point of vomiting blood by Lin Feng. It was truly a great humiliation. This feeling, it almost made Divine Tao Evil go crazy. Divine Tao Evil, you're just so. If you don't have the strength, don't pretend to be cool. But you can die now. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. That terrifying punch had already enveloped Divine Tao Evil. But at this moment, boom, 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 all kinds of terrifying attacks came. Gong Xingye and more than a dozen people quickly surrounded him. Their attacks were incomparably tyrannical. If Lin Feng insisted on killing Divine Tao Evil, he would definitely not be able to dodge these people's attacks. Lin Feng's expression suddenly sank. Lin Feng quickly changed his move. He used his palm as a knife. A ray of knife energy slashed out. Then, Lin Feng used the heaven patching technique. Before the attacks of Gong Xingye and the others could hit him, Lin Feng directly disappeared without a trace. He dodged the attacks of Gong Xingye and the others. Poochie. The sound of tearing suddenly came out. Blood immediately splattered out. Divine Tao Xie's left arm shot up into the sky and was cut down by Lin Feng. Divine Tao Xie's face turned as white as paper. Lin Feng appeared a few hundred meters away. With a wave of his hand, a spatial gate appeared. He and immeasurable Taoist entered the spatial gate and disappeared without a trace. My arm. My arm. Lin Feng, you little bastard. I'll fight you to the death. The Divine Tao Xie cursed bitterly. One of his arms was chopped off by Lin Feng, and Shen Dao Xie was not a member of the Undying clan, so he could not regrow a severed arm. Therefore, from now on, Evil God only had one arm left. Once a cultivator's body had a flaw, it would greatly affect their cultivation. The Divine Tao Heretic was no exception. With one of his arms chopped off, it would be difficult for his future cultivation path to be smooth sailing. Therefore, Divine Tao Xie hated Lin Feng to the bone. The Tao of Space. Lin Feng has actually grasped the Tao of Space, and his control of the Tao of Space is incomparably skilled and profound. It's too difficult to kill him. Gong Xingye's expression was extremely gloomy. I didn't expect this kid to be so powerful. If we had known earlier, we would have listened to Brother Nye's words and besieged him so that he couldn't escape. We still had a chance to kill him, but now that he escaped, we've already lost the best chance to kill him. A prodigy said with a gloomy expression. Yeah, now that we've lost this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, it will indeed be more difficult to kill him. Another prodigy also said with an ugly expression. Gong Xingye said, everyone, don't be discouraged. Just now, everyone should have seen that Lin Feng's strength lies in his physical body. In terms of magical power, we're not afraid of him. Continue to search for his traces. The next time we find him, we'll definitely be able to take his life. The others nodded. This was the only way they could comfort themselves now. Everyone knew that if they wanted to kill Lin Feng, who had grasped the Tao of Space, they would need to be well prepared in order to succeed in killing Lin Feng. Swoosh! Lin Feng and Wu Liang Taoist appeared above the swamp 10 miles away. Impressive, impressive. Even Wicked of the Divine Path almost died in your hands. If this news gets out, it'll definitely cause a huge uproar among the myriad tribes. Wu Liang Taoist said in amazement. He could not help but be shocked by the combat strength Lin Feng displayed. Lin Feng said, a mere Wicked of the Divine Path is naturally nothing. I won't take it to heart. My real opponents are the venerable sovereigns and holy emperors of the myriad tribes. Wu Liang Taoist said with a grin, hee, we have the same idea. Wicked of the Divine Path can't even enter our eyes. The two continued to fly deeper into the swamp. They could see many cultivators moving about in the surroundings. The first day passed very quickly. In the blink of an eye, the sky had darkened. Darkness descended. The night in the land of death was often extremely dangerous. The Fate Swamp was no exception. Lin Feng and Wu Liang Taoist found a mountain peak. It was a mountain peak in the Fate Swamp. It was not easy to find a place to stay in the Fate Swamp. Therefore, many cultivators stayed on this mountain peak. Everyone rested on the mountain peak. Late at night, a terrifying fluctuation came from the depths. That wave of energy was simply too powerful. Everyone was alarmed. They all looked into the depths. Endless demonic light surged out. A golden creature was engaged in a fierce battle with a demonic pagoda. Leave the item. The golden creature's voice was extremely cold. It was a creature from the Forbidden Zone. The demonic tower seemed to have obtained something. Therefore, the golden creature intercepted it. The golden creature demanded the demonic tower to hand over the item. Isn't this the first demonic tower? Lin Feng looked at the demonic tower in shock. The first demonic tower was the demonic tower that suppressed the ancestral land of the Snow Tribe. It was rumored that it was a natal treasure created by the sky-devouring demon master. Only 9 demon masters were born in this epoch, and each demon master's cultivation was enough to shock the heavens and earth. However, it was said that among the 9 demon masters, the one with the strongest cultivation base was actually the sky-devouring demon master. However, the demonic tower was broken. Later, it split into 2. One could imagine what kind of tragic battle the sky-devouring demon master went through. Even his natal treasure was broken. The sky-devouring demon master eventually fell. The 2 broken towers each gave birth to a weapon spirit. Previously, the first demonic tower and the second demonic tower devoured each other, but they could not do anything to each other. Then, the 2 demonic towers left the Snow Tribe. Lin Feng had not seen the first demonic tower and the second demonic tower for a long time. Unexpectedly, he actually saw the first demonic tower here. I have never handed over the item I obtained. Chapter 3603. He didn't know what the demonic pagoda had stolen to make the golden creature chase after it. The demonic pagoda's cultivation was extremely terrifying. Lin Feng had seen the terror of the demonic pagoda before. Moreover, after so many years, the demonic pagoda must have recovered a lot of its vitality. It was many times stronger than before. The demonic pagoda that had turned into the size of a mountain was indeed very terrifying. Its combat power was extremely heaven-defying. The demonic pagoda shook slightly in the void. The void seemed to be about to collapse. However, the golden creature was clearly an extremely terrifying existence as it faced the attacks of the demonic pagoda. Facing the demonic pagoda's attack, the golden creature threw a punch. Bang! The golden creature's terrifying punch collided with the demonic pagoda, and an earth-shaking collision sound was heard. The golden creature and the demonic pagoda were evenly matched. No one could do anything to the other. At this moment, the golden creature opened its big hand. Instantly, dense laws flew out. Those were golden laws that seemed to be able to seal the world. The power of the golden laws was extremely terrifying. They directly wrapped around the demonic pagoda. The golden creature wanted to trap the demonic pagoda with the laws. Break! The spirit of the first demonic pagoda couldn't help but shout coldly. Endless demonic light surged out. Sharp blades appeared amidst the demonic light. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of collision rose and fell one after another. Those sharp blades directly slashed on the golden laws. They destroyed the golden laws. The demonic pagoda's combat power was indeed extremely terrifying. Although the golden creature was very powerful, it was also extremely difficult for it to suppress the demonic pagoda. Everyone watched this battle with their mouths agape. This was because this battle was simply too shocking. Heaven and earth were about to be pierced through. Although they were far away, they could still feel the aura of the golden creature and the demonic pagoda. Many cultivators still revealed incomparably terrified gazes. The golden creature and the demonic pagoda were simply high and mighty existences like gods. Fortunately, their battle was relatively far away from here. If they were closer to here, they would definitely be affected by their battle. If that was the case, who knew how many people would have died in that battle? The golden creature and the demonic pagoda fought for hundreds of rounds, but the outcome couldn't be determined. After the demonic pagoda obtained the treasure, it wanted to leave quickly and didn't want to continue fighting. However, it was being held back by the golden creature. However, after several hundred rounds of battle, the demonic pagoda finally found a rare opportunity. After the demonic pagoda repelled the golden creature, it quickly flew into the distance. The golden creature followed closely behind, chasing after the demonic pagoda. The golden creature and the demonic pagoda disappeared into the darkness. The swamp of destiny became quiet again. There wasn't even the sound of insects or birds chirping here. As expected of a land of death, a sinister aura suddenly filled the air. After feeling the gloomy and terrifying aura, everyone couldn't help but feel a chill run down their spines. It seems like something is coming this way. A large number of cultivators had gathered here, but even so, many people still felt their hearts tremble, because this place was indeed too dangerous. Danger lurked everywhere. Furthermore, there were many unknown and terrifying creatures. Darkness engulfed the world. Although it was also dark before, they could still see some scenes in the distance. But now, heaven and earth had become a world of complete darkness. Everyone felt a cold and terrifying aura enveloping their bodies. Many people couldn't help but tremble. They didn't see any unknown and terrifying creatures. However, they should have felt that something was wrong. What is that? A cultivator pointed to the side of the mountain. Everyone looked over and saw that in the darkness, there was an incomparably huge creature. It had a pair of wings and a pair of cold eyes. It looked at everyone coldly. That incomparably huge creature was about 7,000 to 8,000 meters tall. Such an astonishing height. It was truly shocking. When its wings spread, the entire mountain was covered under its wings. Is that a ferocious bird? Heavens, its body is too huge. What kind of creature is it? It's over. We're finished this time. Calm down. Don't panic. There are so many of us. We still have a chance of winning. The cultivators on the mountain were in a complete mess. Everyone was intimidated by the terrifying and gigantic creature. What the hell is that? Lin Feng took a deep breath. Now that his vision was blocked, he couldn't see clearly what that creature was. Swoosh. At that moment, someone took out a supreme treasure. It was a huge ball of light. It slowly rose into the sky. It dispelled the darkness. It illuminated the world. It's a small artificial sun. Taoist Wuliang's eyes lit up. The so-called small artificial sun was a special kind of crystal that was enchanted with runes. It could light up the night sky. This was something that was priceless. Many cultivators wanted to buy it, but they didn't have the connections. That was because the crystal used to forge the small artificial sun was too difficult to find. At this moment, everyone finally saw what the gigantic and terrifying creature was. It was a pitch-black bat, a bat that was 7,000 to 8,000 meters long. Who had ever seen such a huge bat? Even the primordial vampire bat recorded in the Classic of Mountains and Seas was the largest bat. Its body was only 700 to 800 meters long. Compared to the bat that appeared in front of them, it was really dwarfed. Hell's Fiend Bat, that's the legendary Hell's Fiend Bat. I've seen the introduction of this bat in a Taoist scripture. It's a terrifying existence from the infernal realm, the absolute king of the infernal realm. How could such a creature appear in the swamp of fate? One of the cultivators cried out in fear. Thinking of how terrifying the Hell's Fiend Bat was, the cultivator trembled in fear. Some death zones are connected to the infernal realm, and the infernal realm is a part of the infernal realm. This bat couldn't have flown out from a passage to the infernal realm, right? A cultivator said with a trembling voice. Many people couldn't help but nod after hearing the cultivator's words. What the cultivator said was indeed very likely. Apart from this reason, they couldn't find any other reason to explain why a Hell's Fiend Bat that could only be found in the swamp of fate. Phew. At that moment, the Hell's Fiend Bat suddenly opened its bloody mouth and inhaled. A powerful suction force surged out. One cultivator after another flew up uncontrollably. Chapter 3604. The Hell Devil Bat was too terrifying. With its bloody mouth, most of the cultivators were swallowed without any resistance. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Who can save me? Spare me. Spare me. Many cultivators screamed in horror, praying for the Hell Devil Bat to spare them. However, the Hell Fiend Bat ignored the pleas of these cultivators. The Hell Devil Bat crazily swallowed these cultivators. A large number of cultivators were swallowed by the Hell Devil Bat. In the end, they became the food of the Hell Devil Bat. Let's kill him together. Some of the stronger cultivators were unwilling to be swallowed by the Hell Devil Bat and shouted. They mobilized everyone to deal with the Hell Devil Bat. Boom, boom, boom. One by one, powerful magic treasure was taken out and then bombarded towards the Hell Devil Bat. The power of those magic treasure could be described as destroying the heavens and earth. Even Lin Feng used the weapon mantra and took out 3 stone swords to kill the Hell Devil Bat. But at this time, the Hell Devil Bat flapped its huge wings. A gust of wind swept through heaven and earth. All kinds of powerful magic treasure were blown away. Many cultivators were also blown away by the Hell Devil Bat, their bodies breaking one tree after another. Too terrifying. Lin Feng was shocked. The Hell Devil Bat was simply an existence that couldn't be fought against. This terrifying creature was simply too powerful. It was simply too shocking. There was simply no hope of winning against such a terrifying creature like the Hell Devil Bat. Let's go quickly, Immeasurable Taoist said with a pale face. This damn Taoist was also frightened by the Hell Devil Bat. Lin Feng nodded. The Hell Devil Bat was too terrifying. He had to leave this place quickly and get rid of the Hell Devil Bat, or else it would be really dangerous. However, Lin Feng wasn't sure if he could escape from this place, because the Hell Devil Bat's methods made people despair. Just as Lin Feng was about to use the space travel technique to leave with Immeasurable Taoist, a cold voice resounded between heaven and earth. A creature from hell dares to casually come to the world of the living? You really don't know what death is. Today, I will swallow you to recover some of my vitality. After the voice faded away, then a finger light flew out from the void. That beam of light shot straight towards the Hell Demon Bat. Everyone was shocked. A powerful creature was attacking the Hell Demonic Bat. The cultivators on the mountain couldn't help but reveal looks of joy. The Hell Devil Bat flapped its wings, and a terrifying gale swept out. It formed a huge storm that enveloped the finger that was about to strike. But the power of that finger was too strong, and it shattered the storm attack of the Hell Demon Bat. Then, it instantly arrived in front of the Hell Devil Bat. Just as the finger was about to pierce through the Hell Devil Bat's body, the Hell Devil Bat suddenly disappeared. He dodged the finger attack. When the Hell Demonic Bat appeared again, it was already 300 meters away. The Hell Devil Bat spread its huge wings. Then, it abruptly swept towards an area of the void. There was a rumbling sound. The void collapsed, and a huge black hole appeared. A demonic hand flew out from the black hole. When he saw that devilish hand, Lin Feng could not help being shocked. Wasn't this the mysterious demonic hand that was suppressed by the Undying family in the 9 prefectures? Back then, he unintentionally released this demonic hand. The demonic hand was only a part of his original body. His original body was incomparably powerful, and his origin was extremely long. Back then, the original body of the demonic hand was suppressed by the 7 sages of the Undying family. But because the original body of the demonic hand was almost immortal and indestructible, so the 7 sages of the Undying family were unable to kill the original body of the demonic hand. They had no choice but to dismember the original body of the demonic hand. Then, the dismembered parts of the original body of the demonic hand were suppressed in various places in the myriad worlds. The main branch of the Undying family sent people to guard the place of suppression. In some places in the myriad worlds, there were branches of the Undying family, and those branches were also formed at this time. Back then, the demonic hand almost wiped out the Undying family in the 9 prefectures. Later, the demonic hand left the 9 prefectures, saying that he wanted to find the other parts of his body. Lin Feng did not expect to meet the demonic hand here. It seemed that the demonic hand was still unable to find the other parts of his body. After seeing the demonic hand flying out, the Hell Demonic Bat directly opened its bloody mouth, wanting to devour the demonic hand as well. It was rumored that there was nothing that the Hell Demonic Bat could not digest. The reason why the Hell Demonic Bat's body was so huge was because of its powerful devouring ability. The Hell Demonic Bat had been constantly devouring all kinds of living beings and undead creatures. So, the Hell Demonic Bat's body grew very quickly. Of course, the Hell Demonic Bat's strength also increased very quickly. Humph! The demonic hand sneered. and slapped out across the void. Suddenly, a huge palm that covered several hundred square meters condensed and slapped toward the hell demonic bat. The hell demonic bat did not expect the palm in front of it to be so powerful. At this moment, it felt danger. The hell demonic bat opened its bloody mouth and spat out a blood-colored ball of energy. That blood-colored ball of energy was instantly shattered by the palm formed by the demonic hand. Then, that huge palm of energy slapped the hell demonic bat's body, sending it flying. Slash! The demonic hand lightly slashed across the void. Suddenly, a dazzling sword energy flew out. Poochie! That sword energy instantly tore the demonic hand's body apart. Blood spurted out. Everyone was shocked. They simply could not believe their eyes. The hell demonic bat was so powerful, but it was so weak in front of the demonic hand? How terrifying was the demonic hand? Screech! The hell demonic bat let out a shrill scream. A terrifying, devouring power surged out from the demonic hand's palm. A large amount of blood gushed out from the hell demonic bat's wound, and it was devoured by the demonic hand. After the demonic hand devoured the blood in the hell demonic bat's body, its aura became stronger and stronger. Many people were shocked. Was the hell demonic bat going to be sucked dry by the demonic hand? At this moment, the hell demonic bat's body exploded. The hell demonic bat turned into a bloody mist and fled toward the swamp of fate. Do you think you can escape? The demonic hand's voice was cold, and it quickly chased after it. That blood contains the hell demonic bat's essence blood. Some cultivators exclaimed. Many people's eyes suddenly lit up. The hell demonic bat was so terrifying. Its essence blood could definitely greatly increase a cultivator's combat power. Chapter 3605. Lin Feng quickly rushed out. The hell devil bat's blood essence made him want it. The blood essence of these powerful creatures was more useful than the most precious treasures to improve one's cultivation. Therefore, Lin Feng couldn't wait to snatch a few drops of hell devil bat's blood essence to further improve his combat strength. However, the hell devil bat's blood essence wasn't that much. When a large number of cultivators rushed over, it naturally became a situation where there were too many monks and too little gruel. Many cultivators fought for a drop of hell devil bat's blood essence. Blood splattered everywhere. It was extremely tragic. Cultivators who got along well with each other would fight to the death for a drop of blood essence. The world of cultivators had always been so cruel. This was a bloody world. For the sake of benefits, many cultivators would do anything. Lin Feng locked onto a drop of blood essence and directly took it. Kid died. Immediately, more than a dozen cultivators surrounded Lin Feng, wanting to kill him. Reckless. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He directly used the Tao of Space and imprisoned more than a dozen cultivators. Then he waved his right hand. Swoosh! A dazzling sword chi flew out and swept across the void. The sword chi was dazzling and powerful. A light hit, as if it had the power to shatter heaven and earth. Puff, puff, puff. The sound of tearing could be heard one after another. One cultivator's body was directly torn apart. One cultivator after another was killed. After killing more than a dozen cultivators, Lin Feng was about to collect other hell devil bat's blood essence. Suddenly, Lin Feng saw that darkness swept over. When the hell devil bat appeared before, darkness also covered heaven and earth. After the hell devil bat escaped, some light was restored. However, the darkness that appeared in the distance now was different from when the hell devil bat appeared. The hell devil bat used its huge body to cover the mountain where many cultivators were originally. So, when the hell devil bat appeared, it was just that the area where the mountain was located became very dark. The rest of the place was still glowing, but now it was a different situation. Endless darkness swept in from all directions. The darkness nibbled away at the world bit by bit. The flowers, the trees, the swamps, the distant mountain peaks, everything was devoured by the darkness. It was extremely strange. It was as if something terrifying was hiding in the darkness and was rapidly approaching everyone. No one should enter the land of death. This was the summary of the experiences of countless experts, especially when it was nighttime. Terrifying things would always happen in the land of death. and those terrifying things were enough to bury countless cultivators. Let's go, let's go. Immeasurable Daoist's sense of danger was even stronger than Lin Feng's. He rushed to Lin Feng's side and shouted in a low voice. Lin Feng nodded and hurriedly rushed towards the mountain peak with Daoist Wuyang. The mountain peak towered between heaven and earth. Lin Feng felt that this place was a place of protection. When darkness descends, one should not leave the mountain at will. Once he left, the consequences would be unimaginable. Look, what's that? Darkness is devouring heaven and earth. This is a great omen. Let's leave quickly. Go to the mountain peak. This mountain peak has the power of divinity. It should be able to protect us. Many cultivators flew towards the mountain peak in a panic. But everyone underestimated the speed of the darkness attack. Endless darkness enveloped heaven and earth. It was simply too fast. The swamp of fate was quickly being devoured by the darkness. And the speed of those fleeing cultivators could not be compared to the speed of the darkness devouring heaven and earth. Cultivators were constantly being devoured by the darkness. No, no, I can't accept this. I don't want to die. Many cultivators screamed in horror. They were still trying their best to escape, unwilling to be devoured by the darkness. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, Nine would not give up. However, those cultivators were still unable to escape back to the mountain peak. They were shrouded in darkness. Without any sound, they had already fallen into the darkness. What does the darkness represent? What terrifying thing is in the darkness? Lin Feng was terrified. He increased his speed and rushed towards the mountain peak. In the end, Lin Feng and the immeasurable Daoist successfully escaped back to the mountain peak. The cultivators who were closer to the mountain peak also successfully escaped back. The cultivators on the mountain peak were glad that they did not go out just now. If they went out, they might have already died in the darkness. And at this time, the darkness had already swept over. Divine light flowed out from the mountain peak. At the peak of the mountain peak, an ancient temple appeared in front of them. From the temple, Tao sounds could be heard. Divine light intertwined and enveloped the mountain peak, blocking the corrosion of the darkness. Save me! A cultivator rushed over, his hand already reaching into the divine light. No one was willing to save him. They were all running towards the mountain peak. Crack! A hand reached over. It grabbed the cultivator's hand. Lin Feng made a move. Because the person who asked for help was a rock cultivator. It was probably a cultivator from the Demon Alliance. Conveniently, he helped, saving a life. Lin Feng was very willing to do such a thing. Because Lin Feng believed in one sentence, the cycle of karma, and good people would be rewarded. Lin Feng pulled the cultivator back from the darkness. However, soon, Lin Feng's face revealed a horrified expression. Because the only thing he managed to pull back was an intact arm. The rest of the body, they had all turned into bones with traces of blood. What eat his flesh and blood? Lin Feng was horrified and quickly retreated. The darkness was too terrifying. It was full of the unknown, and it was terrifying. Lin Feng had been to several places of death. Every place of death was incomparably dangerous. However, all the places of death didn't seem to be as dangerous as the swamp of fate in front of him. This was the place where the master of fate fell. It was indeed an extremely dangerous place. Boom! The darkness began to attack the light barrier that enveloped the mountain peak. The entire light barrier began to shake violently. Many people were so scared that their bodies trembled when they saw this scene, and their faces were as pale as paper. The darkness was too terrifying. If the defensive light shield of the mountain peak was broken, then all of them would be dead. Everyone was well aware of this. No one wanted to die. Everyone wanted to live. Buzz. Right at this moment, a violent fluctuation came from the temple above. Everyone was alarmed, and they all looked towards the temple. That temple wasn't a real temple. It looked like a temple that was formed by Tao runes. Now, the door of the temple opened. Chapter 3606. Dozens of Taoists had the demeanor of immortals. Each of them held an immortal sword. After they flew out of the temple, they entered the darkness. No one could see their figures again. Only the sound of collision could be heard coming from the darkness. It was like the sound of peerless divine weapons colliding. There really are some terrifying existences in the darkness that are fighting with those Taoists. It's a pity that my eye of origin is injured. Otherwise, I would be able to see what the things in the darkness are. Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath and say. Taoist Wu Liang said, "It's best not to look. The erosion of darkness is a terrifying thing that has never been recorded in the Taoist scriptures. If you see something that you shouldn't see, I'm afraid you'll be killed." Lin Feng's heart trembled slightly. Taoist Wu Liang's words weren't alarmist words. It was his experience. It was indeed the same as what Taoist Wu Liang said. It was best not to look at something that one shouldn't see. Otherwise, it wouldn't end well. Everyone on the mountain peak was in a state of panic. They didn't know if the Taoists who rushed out of the temple could resist the terrifying existence in the darkness. Right now, everyone could only hope that those Taoists would show their might. They could resist the terrifying existence in the darkness. If those Taoists couldn't resist it either, when the time came, perhaps all of them would die here. Usually, time seemed to pass very quickly. A day passed in the blink of an eye. However, on this night, everyone felt as if every second was like a year. Everyone hoped that time could pass faster. "Let's go to the peak of the mountain and take a look at the temple," Taoist Wu Liang said. Lin Feng nodded and climbed up the mountain with Taoist Wu Liang. Many cultivators had the same thoughts as Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang. They all headed towards the peak of the mountain. In the end, these people arrived at the peak of the mountain. However, an invisible force sealed off the void world. Lin Feng and the others couldn't get close to the temple at all. They were blocked outside by that invisible force. That temple doesn't seem to be a manifestation of the Tao rhymes. It's a real temple? When Lin Feng saw the temple up close, he couldn't help but reveal an extremely shocked expression. That divine temple was extraordinary. It was surrounded by endless divine light. Endless sounds of Tao interweaved above the temple. When one listened carefully, they could not hear anything. It was too strange. "It really does look real," Immeasurable Taoist said. There were still some differences between the temple formed by the Tao aura and the real temple. This was the difference between reality and illusion. As for this temple, it was somewhere between reality and illusion. This affected Lin Feng and Taoist Wu Liang's judgment. They felt that the temple was real, but because they couldn't get close to the temple, therefore, there was no way to confirm this point. Lin Feng tried to use the Tao of space. When the Tao of space was activated, Lin Feng was surprised when he realized that the invisible and intangible strength around the temple was much less oppressive than before. This made Lin Feng's face light up with joy. "Huh, you can get close to the temple now?" Immeasurable Taoist said in shock. Lin Feng said, "I can give it a try. Wait for me here. I'll try to see if I can get close to the temple. If you find something good, you must remember to share it with your best friend," Immeasurable Taoist reminded. Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. The best friend that Immeasurable Taoist was referring to was naturally him. This fellow really never forgot to reap some benefits. Who is that kid? His means are actually so extraordinary? I'm not sure. I've never seen him before. He seems to be a human cultivator. Could he be a member of the 3 human overlords of the Immortal Gods Alliance? Some cultivators started discussing in hushed voices. "No, that kid is Lin Feng," someone said, revealing Lin Feng's identity. "What? He's Lin Feng of the 9 provinces world?" Many cultivators couldn't help but exclaim. The name Lin Feng was very familiar. It could even be said that they had heard of him before. And now, Lin Feng had actually appeared in front of them. Rumor has it that Lin Feng is with that wicked Taoist. "Look at that Taoist over there. I just saw that kid with that Taoist. So, that kid might really be Lin Feng." A cultivator said, "That kid should be killed. That damned Taoist should be cut into pieces." The cultivators of the Sacred War Alliance were filled with killing intent. Whether it was Lin Feng or Immeasurable Taoist, they were all on their must-kill list. The cultivators of the Immortal Gods Alliance and the Demon Alliance looked at Lin Feng and Immeasurable Taoist with great interest. This pair, they had also heard of it. Now, they actually saw the real deal. However, the cultivators of the Sacred War Alliance knew how terrifying Lin Feng and Immeasurable Taoist were. Even though they couldn't wait to kill Lin Feng and immeasurable Taoist, they endured it and didn't make a move. At this moment, Lin Feng's mind was focused on how to get close to the temple. So, he didn't hear the discussions of the cultivators in the distance at all. As Lin Feng continued to get closer to the temple, the power exerted on Lin Feng's body also became more and more terrifying. That strength could topple mountains and overturn seas. It wanted to kill Lin Feng. After feeling that terrifying power, Lin Feng couldn't help but change his expression. That invisible power was really too terrifying. It indeed had the power to kill him. However, Lin Feng wasn't without a way to deal with it. The Tao of Space seemed to be able to play an extremely crucial role at this time. With Lin Feng as the center, the surrounding void began to distort. Lin Feng operated the Tao of Space, causing the space within a 1-meter radius to distort. If one looked carefully, they would be able to see that there were overlapping spatial faults in that distorted space. That was actually not a spatial fault, but a folding mark formed when different spaces were folded together. When that invisible and terrifying power enveloped him, all the power was devoured by the folded space around Lin Feng. The power of those folded spaces was extraordinary, a power that could devour everything. The Tao of Space was really an extremely heaven-defying great Tao. It was no wonder that the 9 space gods could stand out among the many titled gods. They could be compared to the 9 demon masters, the 9 human emperors, and other powerhouses. The main reason was that the power of the Tao of Space was so powerful that it was shocking. Relying on the wonders of the Tao of Space, Lin Feng was constantly approaching the temple. This person is too terrifying. The cultivators of the myriad races couldn't help but reveal extremely shocked expressions. They couldn't even take a step closer to the temple. But Lin Feng had managed to neutralize the terrifying strength around the shrine. He was getting closer and closer. 2 hours later, Lin Feng finally arrived at the entrance of the temple. Chapter 3607. The inside of the temple was surrounded by divine light. This was a place full of holiness. The temple was divided into several courtyards. In the first courtyard, Lin Feng saw many prayer mats. This was a Taoist temple. Those prayer mats should be where the cultivators sat and listened to the Tao. In the past, someone gave a sermon here. If one listened carefully, they could vaguely hear some Tao sounds shaking between heaven and earth. The Tao sounds lingered in the air. This place seemed to be the birthplace of the great Tao. There was a Taoist temple in the courtyard. There was also a prayer mat on the Taoist temple. Lin Feng guessed that the expert who taught the Tao back then should have been sitting on the prayer mat, facing these disciples. He taught them what he had learned in his life. This is a Taoist temple, Lin Feng muttered to himself. The temple was very special. Its architectural style was very similar to a Taoist temple. Lin Feng had never seen a real Taoist temple, because Taoism had always been very mysterious. However, Lin Feng had heard a lot about Taoism from Taoist Wuliang. This included the architectural features of Taoism, which were very similar to the temple in front of him. Lin Feng used this as a basis. He determined that this was a Taoist temple. Lin Feng walked towards the Taoist temple. Suddenly, he saw a man appear on the Taoist temple. The man's back was facing him. He was wearing a Taoist robe. His body was surrounded by immortal qi, like a banished immortal. Is it the Taoist master of the past? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. This Taoist temple was too extraordinary. It could even resist the dark erosion of the land of death. It was hard to imagine. At the peak of the past, how amazing would this Taoist temple be? Now, the sound of heaven and earth was shaking in this Taoist temple. That sound of heaven and earth made Lin Feng feel very comfortable. He felt as if all the pores on his body were open, greedily absorbing the spiritual energy between heaven and earth. Lin Feng wanted to go up to the Taoist temple and see what kind of shocking figure the Taoist master was. However, when Lin Feng reached the Tao platform, the mysterious existence disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng frowned. That Tao Lord just now wasn't his real body, and it seemed to be just a brand left behind in the past. Lin Feng walked towards the depths and arrived at the first level of the temple. In the first layer of the temple, there was a statue of the giant miracle god. However, it was clear that this was not the true chief god's position. Taoism was particular about 3 temples, 6 pavilions, and 9 halls. In other words, if Taoism built a temple, it would build 3 layers of temples. The first and second layers of temples would not worship the main god. Instead, it was the auxiliary deity position. These auxiliary gods were the subordinates of the sovereign. They were built to protect the sovereign. The true sovereign position was located within the 3rd level of the temple. If Taoists built attics, they would build 6 layers of attics. Every level of the attic would also consecrate a deity position. The chief god's position was enshrined in the 6th level of the attic. There was another type of architecture in Taoism, which was called the 9 halls. Level 1 to 8 were auxiliary deity statues. Level 9 was dedicated to the chief god's position. However, Taoism had always felt that the number 9 was unknown. Therefore, the 9 halls were relatively rare. 3 temples were the most common. This was because the Tao Te Ching of Taoism recorded that 1 gave birth to 2, 2 gave birth to 3, and 3 gave birth to all things. The word 3 had a special status in Taoism. It was regarded as the foundation of all things by Taoism. Therefore, usually, Taoist temples were built in 3 layers. There were also 6-story Taoist temples, but they were also extremely rare. The unknown Taoist temple in front of him was a 3-story Taoist temple. Lin Feng carefully checked every part of the first layer of the temple. He searched for some treasures that might appear in this temple. However, after searching for a while, Lin Feng didn't find anything. This made Lin Feng a little disappointed. However, there were still 2 more layers of temples behind. There might be precious things in the temples behind. Lin Feng passed through the first layer of the temple. He came to the second courtyard. That is, Lin Feng was shocked. In the second courtyard, he saw an ancient tree. The ancient tree wasn't particularly tall. It was about 2 meters tall. Although it wasn't tall, its branches and leaves were lush. Moreover, the branches were strong and strong. It was like the body of a dragon. There was a kind of shocking beauty. The ancient tree was full of fragrant petals. Those petals actually had 4 colors. These 4 colors were white, gold, red, and purple. 4 colored flowers? Lin Feng was very surprised. This was the first time he had seen this kind of 4-colored flower. Before this, he had never heard of this kind of 4-colored flower. Sometimes, he couldn't help but sigh at the extraordinary power of the master of creation. He could actually create such an ancient tree that could bear 4 different kinds of flowers. When Lin Feng approached the ancient tree, suddenly, in his mind, the sound of the Tao echoed, pointing directly at his Tao heart. Lin Feng felt as if he was about to enter a state of enlightenment. This ancient tree can help cultivators comprehend the Tao? Why is it so similar to the effect of the Bodhi tree of Buddhism? Lin Feng couldn't help but be very surprised. To be precise, the effect of this ancient tree was even more amazing than the Bodhi tree. In the past, Lin Feng had seen the Bodhi tree and obtained the Bodhi seed. If he wanted to gain enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, he would need a certain amount of time to feel the aura of the Bodhi tree. Then, with the help of the Bodhi tree, he would enter a state of enlightenment. But now, the situation was completely different. When Lin Feng came to the side of the ancient tree, he didn't sit cross-legged to comprehend the Tao. But this ancient tree made Lin Feng feel as if he could comprehend the Tao at any time. On this point, it was even more extraordinary than the Bodhi tree. It was even more shocking and moving. This is the crepe myrtle tree, the sacred tree of Taoism. The voice of the demon lord resounded in Lin Feng's mind. What? This is the legendary crepe myrtle tree? Lin Feng's face suddenly revealed an extremely shocked expression. Taoism was too mysterious. There were many things about Taoism that the outside world didn't have much information about. This was because Taoism kept a tight lid on information. Even the classic of mountains and seas didn't record much about Taoism. Of course, the current classic of mountains and seas had lost a lot of content. Perhaps the original version recorded Taoism, but that content was lost later on. But no matter what the reason was, Taoism was filled with countless secrets to the cultivators of the outside world. The reason why Lin Feng knew that the sacred tree of Taoism was the crepe myrtle tree was because he heard Taoist Wu Liang mention it by chance. But Taoist Wu Liang himself wasn't a real Taoist. This was because Taoism had already cleared the mountain-moving Taoist lineage out of Taoism. So Taoist Wu Liang had never seen the crepe myrtle tree. Therefore, Lin Feng's understanding of the crepe myrtle tree was limited. Lin Feng didn't know what the crepe myrtle tree looked like before. But now, Chapter 3608. The crepe myrtle tree was surrounded by holy light. It was a holy light formed by 4 different colors intertwining together. For different colors of light, for different colors of flowers illuminated the area. The holy light formed by the intertwining of the holy light gave off a magnificent feeling. Crepe myrtle trees are very rare. According to Taoist Wu Liang, there are probably less than 10 crepe myrtle trees left in this world. To think that one is still alive here. How lucky. I wonder if it is possible to transplant this crepe myrtle tree away? Lin Feng's mind immediately became active. The crepe myrtle tree was an extraordinary ancient tree. If it could be transplanted into time and space, it would be very useful to him in the future. Lin Feng was very clear about this. Transplanting this ancient tree is not easy, said the demon lord. No matter how difficult it was, Lin Feng intended to give it a try. He walked towards the crepe myrtle tree. However, the crepe myrtle tree swept out a 4-colored holy light and sent Lin Feng flying. The crepe myrtle tree was too extraordinary. The 4-colored holy light was very powerful. Lin Feng was blocked outside, unable to get close to the crepe myrtle tree. Lin Feng could not help but frown. Transplanting the crepe myrtle tree? It would seem that this was a very difficult task. The demon lord said, "If you want to take the crepe myrtle tree, you can't do it by force. You need to find a suitable method." Lin Feng nodded. It was indeed as the demon lord had said. Taking the crepe myrtle tree could not be done by force. What is the origin of the crepe myrtle tree? Lin Feng asked. The only thing he knew was that the crepe myrtle tree was a sacred tree of Taoism. He did not know anything else. The demon lord explained, the origin of the crepe myrtle tree can be traced back to the origin of Taoism. In the Taoism's immortal genealogy, the highest deity is the 3 pure ones. You should know about this. Lin Feng nodded. The 3 pure ones referred to the 3 sacred realms where the gods resided. The Jade pure sacred realm, the Shang pure true realm, and the Taiching immortal realm, collectively known as the 3 pure realms. It also referred to the 3 supreme gods of Taoism who resided in the realms. The Jade pure emperor, the heavenly lord Yuanshi, the heavenly lord Lingbao, and the heavenly lord Daod. Rumor had it that the 3 pure ones were the incarnations of Pangu the immortal. This was where the legend of Pangu's 3 pure ones came from. The demon lord continued, the 3 pure ones have 4 immortal gods assisting them, and their status is second only to the 3 pure ones. They are the Jade Emperor, the Great Emperor of the North Pole, the Heavenly Emperor, and the Earth Empress. These 4 are known as the 4 Imperials. The leader of the 4 Imperials is the Jade Emperor, followed by the Great Emperor of the North Pole. The Great Emperor of the North Pole sat at the center of the sky and assisted the Jade Emperor in controlling natural phenomena such as the heavens, the earth, the sun, the moon, the stars, and the 4 seasons. During the era of titled gods, he was extremely revered. However, the era of titled gods has ended. The 3 pure ones and the 4 Imperials have become history, drowned out by the river of time. Even now, rumors about them are almost impossible to find. Legend has it that the crepe myrtle flower is the incarnation of the Great Emperor of the North Pole. It can avoid disasters. The Great Emperor of the North Pole possessed a crepe myrtle flower. Taoism believes that the crepe myrtle flower is the celestial purple star that descended from the heavens, so the crepe myrtle tree is revered as the holy tree by Taoism. The crepe myrtle tree is the incarnation of Emperor Crepe Myrtle? Why does it sound so mysterious? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. These rumors were really hard to believe. The demon lord said, "This is a mythical story. Just take it as a joke." Of course, even if the crepe myrtle tree is not the incarnation of the Great Emperor of the North Pole, it definitely has an inseparable relationship with the Great Emperor of the North Pole. On this point, Lin Feng agreed very much. Could it be an ancient tree nurtured by Great Emperor Polestar in the past? Lin Feng asked. The demon lord said, "That is indeed a possibility. How should I transplant the crepe myrtle tree into my time and space? Demon Lord, do you have any ideas? Lin Feng asked. I have a meditation mantra passed down by the great emperor of the North Pole of the North Pole. It is used to help cultivators comprehend the Tao. Now, I will pass it to you. You can try comprehending it and see if you can use it to resonate with the crepe myrtle tree. The Demon Lord said. Lin Feng was shocked. The Demon Lord actually had a technique passed down by the great emperor of the North Pole of the North Pole of the North Pole. The Demon Lord was becoming more and more mysterious by the day. At that moment, Lin Feng felt a mysterious mantra appear in his mind. This mantra was the meditation mantra that the Demon Lord had passed down to Lin Feng. The spirit does not wander. The spirit does not leak. The qi does not dissipate. The spirit grows. The 5 elements and 4 symbols enter the central palace. There is no need to worry that the golden core will not form. There is a true God inside and a response outside. The vision is filled with empty flowers and white snow. The sun comes to return to the sea, and the moon appears in the middle. He hurriedly used his martial arts. Jin Feng looked into the distance. He breathed and activated the mysterious gate fire. The blue sky split open the primordial chaos. The yellow river flowed in reverse to Kunlun. The 9 apertures and 3 gates were penetrated. It turned into nectar and swallowed into the stomach. It was hard to explain. At this point, one had to be careful and take a bath according to the season. The second-grade yin and yang objects were the same, and the 2 were the internal and external fire talismans. When the spiritual medicine was obtained for a while, it would take 10 months to warm it. It would take 3 years for it to mature. 3 by 3 were like 9 sides of the pill. When the pill grew and whistled out of the mountain, it was obvious that he had done meritorious deeds. God sent down a purple letter and ordered me to fly to the sky. The descendants followed this diligent cultivation and became the guests of the 3 pure ones. Lin Feng sat cross-legged, while silently reciting the contents of the meditation mantra, while trying to sense the crepe myrtle tree. As time passed, gradually, Lin Feng vaguely seemed to see a hazy world. In that hazy world, there was an ancient tree. That ancient tree was not tall, but it was extremely extraordinary. It lingered in the holy light, and Tao sounds interweaved. When he saw that holy tree, Lin Feng was shocked. That holy tree was the crepe myrtle tree. Under the crepe myrtle tree, suddenly, a man appeared. He was wearing a starry robe. He looked very young and extremely handsome. He was like the ruler of heaven and earth. When he appeared, the branches of the crepe myrtle tree swayed gently. The holy light that surged out of the crepe myrtle tree also flew towards this man. The holy light lingered around this man. This man looked so holy, so otherworldly. Oh my God, could this person be the legendary North Pole Emperor Ziwei? When he saw the man under the crepe myrtle tree, Lin Feng's face immediately revealed an extremely shocked expression. The North Pole Emperor Ziwei was such a terrifying existence. He was an expert who assisted the 3 pure ones back then, one of the rulers of heaven and earth in the era of titled gods. Now, he actually appeared in front of him. At this moment, the North Pole Emperor Ziwei looked at Lin Feng. 2 people, separated by endless years, crossed the torrent of time. Their gazes met. Eternal life. Never give up. The North Pole Emperor Ziwei looked at Lin Feng and said. Lin Feng was shocked. Chapter 3609. The great emperor of the North Pole Pole Star sat cross-legged. He sat under the crepe myrtle tree, as if he had merged with the crepe myrtle trees. He seemed to have transformed into the crepe myrtle tree, as if he had become the only thing in this world. Lin Feng looked at the great emperor of the North Pole Pole Star, and a thoughtful expression appeared on his face. Then, Lin Feng also sat cross-legged. He began to comprehend the aura of the great emperor of the North Pole Pole Star and the aura of the crepe myrtle tree. This was a rather interesting scene, because Lin Feng was originally in a state of epiphany. This world was a world that appeared when he was in an epiphany. It was a kind of spiritual world, and Lin Feng, who appeared in the spiritual world, he actually began to try to have an epiphany again. This kind of double epiphany was very rare. But now, Lin Feng encountered such a situation. Of course, This would be extremely useful for Lin Feng's cultivation. The state of double epiphany might allow Lin Feng's spiritual world to sense some more extraordinary content. As time passed, Lin Feng gradually felt as if he had become a part of this world. Lin Feng felt as if he had become a branch. He had become a branch of the crepe myrtle tree. This was a very strange feeling. After turning into a branch, Lin Feng could even feel the heartbeat of the crepe myrtle tree. Any life, there would be a heartbeat. Or it could be said that this was the pulsation of life. The crepe myrtle tree was no exception. Eternal life. Never give up. The voice of the great emperor of the North Pole pole star once again resounded in Lin Feng's mind. When Lin Feng heard the words great emperor of the North Pole pole star, a thoughtful expression appeared on his face. What was the great emperor of the North Pole pole star trying to tell him? Eternal life meant that life would not end here? This explanation seemed a little far-fetched. Could it be that he was telling him? Did it mean that the living beings in the world would not die out? If it was explained this way, it seemed more reasonable. Never give up was easier to understand. Never give up. This was the meaning of never giving up. Was the great emperor of the North Pole of Ziwei trying to tell him that even if something that seemed enough to make one despair would happen between heaven and earth, it would still be possible? However, the living beings of the world were not so easily destroyed. We must never give up hope of survival. When these thoughts appeared in Lin Feng's mind, Lin Feng immediately felt that there was a mysterious power in his body, and that mysterious power could help him communicate with the crepe myrtle tree. Follow me. I will let the splendor of the crepe myrtle tree reappear in the world, Lin Feng said. The crepe myrtle tree swayed as if responding to Lin Feng. You agreed? Lin Feng asked. The crepe myrtle tree shook again. Lin Feng's face lit up with joy. Whoosh! Light flashed. Lin Feng's divine sense returned. He opened his eyes and looked at the crepe myrtle tree in the courtyard. Enter my time and space. Only by following me will you be able to fully display your value, Lin Feng said. Then he released a powerful supernatural power and directly enveloped the crepe myrtle tree. The sacred light of the crepe myrtle tree was restrained. Then it rose from the ground. The crepe myrtle tree had acknowledged Lin Feng. It did not resist. If it did not acknowledge Lin Feng would not have any hope of collecting the crepe myrtle tree. Seeing the crepe myrtle tree fly into the air, Lin Feng's face suddenly lit up with joy. The crepe myrtle tree, the sacred tree of Taoism, was finally collected by him. It was really too exciting. Lin Feng kept the crepe myrtle tree in the time and space. In the time and space, there was the five-colored celestial soil. After the crepe myrtle tree entered the time and space, it took root in the five-colored celestial soil. Lin Feng's face lit up with a smile. Entering this Taoist temple this time, he actually collected the sacred tree of Taoism, the crepe myrtle tree. It was really a great opportunity. He continued to walk inside. Lin Feng came to the second temple. There was also a statue of a god enshrined in this temple. This statue was in the shape of a ferocious beast. This ferocious beast was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. It was unknown what kind of beast it was. Lin Feng was very surprised. Could it be that this ferocious beast was even more powerful than the mighty miracle god worshipped outside? Is the statue of Great Emperor Polestar in the third layer of the Taoist temple? Lin Feng could not help but mutter to himself. He felt that there might be such a possibility, because the crepe myrtle tree had appeared here. Of course, the appearance of the crepe myrtle tree here might have nothing to do with Great Emperor Ziwei. Everything was just a coincidence. Before entering the third courtyard, Lin Feng checked the second temple carefully to see if there was anything good left behind. But after a careful inspection, he found nothing. The situation was exactly the same as in the first temple. Lin Feng passed through the second temple and came to the third courtyard. As soon as he arrived, he saw a man standing in the middle of the courtyard. Was this not the man he saw when he first entered the temple? His back was facing Lin Feng, so he could not see the man's appearance clearly. He was wearing a Taoist robe. His body exuded an immortal aura. He was so extraordinary, but his identity was a mystery. Lin Feng suspected that this man was the master of this temple in the past. But this was only Lin Feng's guess. As for whether it was true or not, Lin Feng did not know. Now, he had appeared again. It was different from the first time. This time, he did not disappear. His back seemed a little desolate. Lin Feng was very curious about this mysterious existence. But Lin Feng knew that this was not a cultivator of flesh and blood. At most, perhaps it was just a brand left behind in the past. Senior, Lin Feng cupped his fists at this existence. But this existence ignored Lin Feng. He walked toward the third temple. Soon, he entered the third temple. Lin Feng also walked toward the third temple. When he arrived, he saw the plaque above the door of the third temple. There were 5 big words written on it. Shinko Temple. This was an ancient divine language, a language that had long been lost. Lin Feng learned this language from the demon lord. Lin Feng did not know who this Shinko was. Lin Feng entered the third temple. However, the man in the Taoist robe disappeared once again. Lin Feng searched all over the temple, but he could not find that existence. He disappeared. Lin Feng could not help but mutter to himself. That existence was very mysterious. He appeared for a short while and then disappeared. Perhaps it was really just a brand. And it was a brand that did not have any consciousness. Lin Feng collected his thoughts. His gaze then turned to the statue of the god worshipped in the third temple. Chapter 36:10. The existence enshrined in the third temple was obviously the Shinko written on the plaque. What surprised Lin Feng was that this Shinko actually had 3 eyes. However, this Shinko was a human. The reason why Lin Feng was able to determine that this Shinko was a human was because Shinko had the legendary mark of the 3 emperors between his eyebrows. Even though it was just a statue, the mark of the 3 emperors also appeared. The mark of the 3 emperors was very extraordinary. Rumor had it that only cultivators who had obtained the teachings of the 3 emperors of heaven, earth, and man would be able to produce the mark of the 3 emperors. The mark of the 3 emperors would appear at the corner of a cultivator's right eye, in the form of a golden human. This was the mark of the 3 emperors. Only human cultivators could show the mark of the 3 emperors. Whether it was the classic of mountains and seas or some Tao scriptures, they all recorded some information about the mark of the 3 emperors. Lin Feng had seen the introduction of the mark of the 3 emperors more than once. However, Lin Feng had never seen the real mark of the 3 emperors, but now he actually saw it on a statue. The mark of the 3 emperors could protect the cultivator with the mark of the 3 emperors. Rumor had it that cultivators who cultivated the mark of the 3 emperors could even summon the power of the 3 emperors scattered between heaven and earth to fight against their enemies. Controlling the mark of the 3 emperors. It was absolutely heaven-defying. Demon Lord, do you know who this Shinko is? He actually cultivated the mark of the 3 emperors. How terrifying, Lin Feng said. Shinko. In the past, he was indeed a figure that could shock the heavens and earth. The Demon Lord said. Lin Feng casually asked. He didn't expect the Demon Lord to actually know Shinko's identity. This shocked Lin Feng. The current Demon Lord seemed to know very few things and people that he didn't know. Lin Feng even suspected that the Demon Lord had exchanged souls with someone. Who is he? Lin Feng asked. The Demon Lord didn't directly answer Lin Feng. Instead, he recited a poem. The appearance was handsome and dignified. His ears drooped on his shoulders, and his eyes were bright. Wearing a Sanshan flying phoenix hat and a light yellow collar. Golden boots with coiling dragon socks, a jade belt, and 8 treasures makeup. There was a crescent-shaped bow at his waist and a 3-pointed double-edged spear in his hand. He split Peach Mountain with his axe to save his mother, and hit the Uluo twin phoenixes with his flick. Killing 8 monsters killed 8 monsters' reputation, the 7 saints of the Brotherhood. His heart is lofty, and he does not recognize the heavenly family's relatives. His nature is arrogant, and he lives in Guanjiang. Akashiro Akawi heroic spirit, saint manifested as boundless horn Erlang. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. That poem contained a lot of information. Is this Erlang true Lord Xianxing? Asked Lin Feng. The Demon Lord nodded and said, Yes, this Erlang is Shinko. His surname is Yang, and his name is Jian. He was one of the gods who was conferred the title during the first investiture. I told you about the 4 emperors before. The head of the 4 emperors, the Jade Emperor, is Shinko's uncle. Legend has it that his mother was the Jade Emperor's sister. Because she envied the love of the mortal world, she secretly came to the mortal world. She met a scholar surnamed Yang and married him. The Jade Emperor's sister gave birth to 3 children for Yang. The Erlang in the middle was Yang Jian. When the Jade Emperor knew that his sister secretly came to the mortal world, he was very angry, so he pressed his sister under the Peach Mountain to suffer. Yang Jian's ability was extraordinary since he was young. When Yang Jian grew to 17 years old, he was already unstoppable. He once killed 8 monsters in the Erlang Mountain. This was the origin of killing 8 monsters. Thus, he held a mountain-splitting axe and split the Peach Mountain, saving his mother who was being pressed under the mountain. The mother and son reunited happily, but unfortunately, the Jade Emperor's sister had been pressed under the mountain for too long. She had not seen the sun for more than 10 years, and her body was covered with white hair. Thus, Erlang placed her on the mountain to bask in the sun. When the Jade Emperor heard that Erlang was going to split the mountain, he was very angry. In order to get rid of his family's shame, he released 9 suns into the sky and burned his sister to death. Erlang was filled with pain and hatred. He furiously chased after the 9 suns in the sky. He caught one in each hand, but he had nowhere to put it. He lifted 2 mountains and pressed them down. Then, he looked at the 7 suns in the sky and picked up a shoulder pole to carry the 7 mountains and continue chasing after the suns. This was the legend of Erlang carries the mountains. Just like that, only the last sun was left. Erlang chased it all the way into the Eastern Sea. At the seaside, he was stopped by the 3rd princess of the Eastern Sea Dragon King. The exhausted Erlang fainted in the 3rd princess's gentle embrace. Erlang hated his uncle, the Jade Emperor, for his mother's death. The Jade Emperor also knew that he was in the wrong, so he named him Shinko. However, Erlang still ignored his uncle. He was determined not to live in the heavenly court, but to receive incense in the lower realm. He was accompanied by the 7 sages of May Mountain in front of the tent. He had 1,200 grass gods under his command. He only listened to the Jade Emperor, which meant that he only obeyed orders and did not try to get close to him. This was too proud to recognize the heavenly family, too proud to live in Guanjiang. In Yang Jian's life, the number of times he was defeated was extremely limited. One time, he used his arm to block the blood-dissipating sword. The other time, he fought with the great sage equaling heaven for 3,000 rounds. Both sides were injured. They were all injured. Apart from these 2 dangers, Yang Jian was basically a person who turned the tide. He took care of the situation in times of danger. It was said that Yang Jian played a role in stabilizing the situation in several battles during the era of the titled gods. If not for him, countless people in the world would have died in vain. Unfortunately, in the end, he did not have a good ending. After hearing the demon lord's words, Lin Feng was extremely shocked. This Shinko was too strong and terrifying. Moreover, he did not lose to the great sage equaling heaven. It was really inconceivable. How did he die? Lin Feng asked curiously. The era of the titled gods has always been chaotic. Many things from that era have been buried in the river of time. Thus, there are many different opinions about Yang Jian's death. However, there are 2 versions that are more credible. The Demon Lord said, the first version is that Yang Jian died because of his wife and children. It is said that some terrifying existences captured Yang Jian's wife and children, then lured Yang Jian out. They ambushed a large number of experts and killed Yang Jian. The second version is that Yang Jian died to quell the chaos in the heavenly court. In the era of the titled gods, the foreign living beings, the living beings that transcended eras, the innate spirits, and the various major races were at odds with each other. Yang Jian was besieged and killed when he was trying to quell a riot. A peerless expert of a generation fell just like that. However, as for how he died, there is no way to find out. Why is Yang Jian's statue enshrined in a Taoist temple? He shouldn't be a Taoist, right? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.